오늘 레벨은 다르다 어나더 레벨 핫식스와 함께하는 ASL 시즌14 24강 C조 경기로 함께하겠습니다. 안녕하세요, 이영경입니다. 어제의 B조 경기 역시나 누들댈 수 없는 긴장감 넘치는 경기들 끝에 조일장 선수와 황병영 선수가 16강으로 향했습니다. 자, 오늘은 이번 주의 마지막 24강 C조 경기가 여러분을 기다리고 있는데요. 선수들은 어떤 마음을 가지고 경기를 앞두고 있을지 이야기 나눠보도록 하겠습니다. 안녕하세요. 반갑습니다.
안녕하세요.
자, 먼저 김명훈 선수 안녕하세요.
네, 안녕하세요.
김명훈 선수에게 있어 24강 정말 오랜만일 것 같다라는 생각이 듭니다. 전역 후 진출했던 시즌부터 바로 우승, 4강 이렇게 또 진출을 하셨기 때문에 24강 거의 2년 만이시지 않나요?
네, 진짜 너무 오랜만이고 24강 방식이 어떻게 되는지도 잘 모를 정도로 되게 오랜만에 하는 것 같아요.
감회가 좀 남다르시죠?
네, 좀 근데 단판이라서
네.
오히려 한두열 같은 친구한테 질까봐 그게 조금 무섭긴 해요.
또 첫 경기가 한두열 선수와의 저저전이기 때문에 24강 오랜만인데 좀 부담스럽다 이런 생각 안 하셨어요?
좀 부담스럽긴 한데 그래도 두열이가 요즘에 그 대학생활하면서 어깨가 너무 올라가 있어가지고 참교육을 시켜줘야 될 것 같아요.
그 기회가 오늘 찾아왔다.
네, 오늘 혼내주려고요.
네. 또 이번 시즌은 오프라인을 통해서 관객 여러분들과 함께하고 있는데 김명훈 선수는 조금 불운하게도 결승에 올라가셨던 시즌 내내 중 무관중으로 경기가 진행이 됐었어요. 그래서 이번 시즌 진짜 관객분들 앞에서 우승하고 싶다라는 좀 동기부여가 되실 것 같거든요.
예, 그거는 저도 우승할 때 굉장히 아쉬웠거든요.
네.
네, 이번에 최근에 다들 대학교라는 그런 거에 소속이 돼 있어가지고 다들 응원을 많이 받는데 저는 지금 소속이 없어서 어차피 관중분들이 많이 오셔도 저를 응원하는 분들은 별로 없을 것 같아가지고
무슨 소리세요? 네.
좀 아쉽기는 해요, 그것도. 예.
또 오늘 멋진 경기 보여주신다면 김명훈 선수가 기대하는 것 이상으로 많은 팬분들이 찾아주실 것 같은데 또 옆에 계신 한두열 선수와도 이야기를 나눠보겠습니다. 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
오랜만에 또 본선 무대에서 뵙게 된 것 같습니다.
네.
24강 경기 좀 오랜만에 펼치실 텐데 소감이 어떠신가요?
일단은 오랜만에 올라왔는데 1차전 상대가 명훈이 형이잖아요. 근데 또 제가 잘하는 게 저저전이거든요.
네.
그래가지고 단판
네.
승부기도 하고 할만할 것 같아서 네, 기분 좋습니다.
김명훈 선수가 오늘 좀 어깨가 한껏 올라와 있는 한두열 선수를 참교육하겠다라는 이야기를 했는데 한두열 선수 이에 대한 생각은 어떠신가요?
어깨는 항상 올라와 있었고요.
네.
네. 명훈이 형 키가 좀 작은데 제가 더 짓눌러서 작게 만들겠습니다.
한두열 선수, 김명훈 선수의 도발도 도발이지만 이제 정말 16강 올라갈 때가 됐다라고 생각하는 분들 많으실 것 같습니다. 무려 16강에 올라갔던 게 좀 오래전 일이에요. 9시즌 전 일이기 때문에 이제 조지명식에서 한두열을 보고 싶다라는 팬분들의 생각이 좀 많으시거든요. 어떠세요?
일단 24강은 자주 올라왔는데 16강은 한 번밖에 못 올라갔을 거예요. 그래가지고 이번에 좀 마음이 편한 상태로 왔어요. 상대가 지성이도 있고 그리고 명훈이 형도 있는 상태여가지고 그냥 제 플레이 해가지고 16강 꼭 올라가서 좋은 모습 보일 수 있도록 하겠습니다.
알겠습니다. 조기석 선수와도 이야기 나눠보겠습니다. 안녕하세요.
네, 안녕하세요.
지난 시즌 아쉽게 본선 진출에는 실패하셨지만 보란듯이 또 이번 시즌 예선을 통해서 전승으로 올라오셨습니다. 진출이 확정된 순간 이번 시즌 느낌이 좋다라는 생각 좀 드셨을까요?
일단은 저번 시즌 솔직히 탈락해가지고 솔직히 너무 아쉬웠었어요. 왜냐하면은 요즘처럼 이제 대학교가 활발할 때 뭔가 이제 학생들의 응원을 힘입어가지고 더 잘하고 싶었는데
네.
떨어져가지고 너무 아쉬웠거든요. 그래서 이번 시즌은 좀 남다른 각오로 임하고 있습니다.
조기석 선수는 팬분들의 응원에 굉장히 힘을 많이 받는 선수로 또 제가 알고 있습니다. 원래 8강에 자주 가던 연속으로 진출했던 조기석 선수가 최근에는 조금은 아쉬운 성적표를 계속해서 받아 들으셨는데요. 이번 시즌은 개인적인 느낌은 좀 어떠신가요?
일단은 솔직히 이제 조가 딱 나오고 진짜 어려운 상대들이 있던 거예요. 한 명 빼고. 예. 그래가지고
네네.
왜 이렇게 조를 억가당하나 이런 생각도 했는데 근데 연습하는 과정에서 게임이 너무 잘 돼가지고 자신감을 좀 많이 찾았거든요.
네.
그래가지고 이번 시즌 좀 다를 것 같아요.
자, 또 한 명의 강한 테란 김지성 선수와도 이야기 나눠보겠습니다. 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
하루 늦었지만 어제가 생일이셨더라고요. 축하드립니다.
감사합니다.
연습하시느라 생일을 온전히 즐기시진 못하셨을 것 같은데 오늘 좀 컨디션은 어떠세요?
어제 생일인데도 이제 집에서 계속 연습만 해가지고 좀 그렇긴 했는데 그래도 연습을 열심히 해가지고 오늘은 충분히 올라갈 것 같아요.
눈꺼풀이 조금 무거워 보이시는 게 잠을 줄이시고 연습을 하셨나라는 생각이 좀 들거든요.
근데 요새 게임을 진짜 너무 많이 했더니 좀 피곤하긴 한데 근데 별 영향은 없을 것 같아요.
어때요? 오늘 첫 상대인 조기석 선수의 테란전을 좀 많이 연습을 하셨을까요?
거의 1경기를 거의 집중적으로 연습했고요. 나머지는 그냥 좀 즉흥적으로 할까 생각하고 왔어요.
조기석 선수는 조를 딱 받아들었을 때 좀 힘들다. 왜 이렇게 힘든 조가 걸렸을까라는 생각을 하셨다고 했는데 김지성 선수는 어떠셨어요?
저도 사실 제가 예전에 두열이 형한테도 대회에서 한번 진 적이 있었거든요. 그래가지고 뭐 두열이 형도 한 방 있다 생각하고 다들 좀 잘한다고 생각해요. 저는 그래서 방심 안 하고 하려고요.
준비를 굉장히 빡빡하게 해온 듯한 김지성 선수의 답변이었는데 본격적으로 또 팬 여러분들의 궁금증을 좀 전해드리겠습니다. 먼저 C조가 저그 그리고 테란 두 종족으로만 이루어져 있는 조입니다. 그래서 좀 이런 질문이 올라왔는데요. 저그 대 테란의 트렌드에 대한 생각 또 플레이하면서 어떤 부분이 좀 어려우신지 궁금하신 것 같더라고요. 김명훈 선수는 어떠세요?
예, 뭐 저는 트렌드는 예전이랑 비슷하다고 생각을 하는데 항상 맵이 문제라고 생각을 해요. 예, 근데 맵이 점점 테란한테 조금씩 힘을 실어주지 않나 그런 생각이 있어요.
한두열 선수 좀 동의하는 듯한 고개를 끄덕임이 좀 보였는데 어때요? 생각이 같으신가요?
아니 어제
네네.
제동이 형이랑 연습을 했는데 제동이 형도 똑같은 얘기를 하더라고요. 그러니까 맵이 이게 예전에는 미네랄 9덩이, 7덩이가 정석이었는데 지금 미네랄이 좀 많아졌어요. 트렌드에 비해서 예전에 비해서 그래가지고 맵이 조금 좀 빡세지 않을까 그런 생각이 드네요. 요즘 트렌드는 똑같다 생각해요.
저그 선수들이 좀 힘들다라고 토로한 반면 우리 김지성 선수는 테란으로서 어떤 생각을 갖고 계세요?
저는 저그들이 진짜 그냥 맨날 똑같이 투에뮤탈만 하면서 저런 소리 하는 게 좀 이해가 안 되거든요. 또 대회 가면 막 빌드 쓰고 막 그럴 거면서 근데 투에뮤탈만 하니까 많이 지는 건데 저는 좀 테란이 별로 좋은 것 같지 않아요. 저는.
테란이 막 저그들의 말처럼 좋은지는 잘 모르겠다. 조기석 선수는 어떠세요?
저는 저그들이 양심이 없다고 생각해요. 왜냐면은 워낙 요즘에 최적화가 달인이 돼 있으면서 괜히 뭐 이제 그냥 맵 징징하는 것 같아요.
이 종족 선수들 간의 신경전도 굉장히 팽팽한데요. 다음 질문도 좀 전해드리겠습니다. C조는 많은 분들이 죽음의 조 그 자체다라고 많이들 말씀을 하고 계십니다. 모두가 강점 하나씩은 가지고 있기 때문이 아닐까 싶은데요. 선수들이 생각하는 또 C조는 어떨지도 궁금해요. 김명훈 선수 어때요?
뭐 각 티어별로 상위권 선수들을 모아놓기는 했더라고요. 근데 뭐 저는 24강은 되게 오랜만이어서 잘 모르겠고 16강 조라고 생각을 하면 괜찮다고 생각을 했거든요. 예, 솔직히 저희 4명 다 16강 가면은 서로 찍으려고 안 달랄 선수들이라고 생각을 하기 때문에 이 정도면 뭐 괜찮지 않나 싶어요.
그렇다면 김명훈 선수가 생각하는 오늘 2명의 진출자 어떤 선수일까요?
일단 저는 올라가고 싶고요. 예, 올라갈 생각이고 2명 중에 1명이 아닐까. 다들 그렇게 생각하실 것 같아요.
네, 김명훈 선수의 생각까지 한번 들어봤고 다음 질문은 조기석 한두열 선수에게 좀 드릴 텐데요. 두 분이 현재 NSU라는 한 대학에 함께 속해 계시는데 옛날 프로게이머 시절에도 이제 같은 팀과의 개인 리그 경기는 조금 부담스러워하는 그런 부분들도 있었을 텐데 소위 말하는 이 팀킬 상황이 나왔을 때 좀 어떤지도 물어보셨어요. 한두열 선수 어때요?
남인데요, 그냥.
남입니까?
뭐 그냥 생선구이 아닌가요, 그냥?
그냥 찍어 눌러야 하는. 네.
뭐 김지성이나 이제 김명훈이랑 똑같다 생각해요, 저기서 지금.
조기석 선수도 같은 생각이신가요?
그냥 모르는 사람이어가지고 그냥 게임에만 생각하기로 했었어요.
오로지 같은 대학에 속해 있는 동료들만이 어떤 선수를 응원해야 될지 조금은 고민을 하고 있을까요?
일단은 그 지성이야 이제 명훈이 형보다는 응원을 하지만 일단 뭐 먹고 살려면 제가 우선이지 않겠습니까? 그렇기 때문에 뭐 별다른 건 없어요.
마지막 질문 역시 한두열 선수의 질문인데요. C조에서 나에게 달달한 승리를 가져다 줄 것 같은 상대는 누가 될지 물어봐 주셨습니다.
오늘 김명훈 2번 잡고 올라가겠습니다.
굉장히 돈독한 모습을 인터뷰 내내 보여주시는데 두 선수의 첫 경기 한번 기대해 보도록 하겠습니다. 끝으로 각 선수들에게 각오를 한 말씀씩 청해 듣겠습니다. 김명훈 선수.
두열이한테 2번 지면은 동굴 들어간다는 마인드로 꼭 이기겠습니다.
김명훈 선수의 동굴행이 걸려있는 오늘 경기 기대하겠습니다. 한두열 선수.
오랜만에 24강인데 좀 좋은 모습, 그러니까 좀 창피한 모습 안 보여주고 좋은 모습 보여드려서 꼭 진출하도록 하겠습니다.
기대하겠습니다. 네, 조기석 선수.
이번에 NSU로 이제 학생 이제 NSU 대표로서 선수로 임명하게 되었는데 이번에 좋은 성적 내가지고 학교 이상을 넓히겠습니다.
네, 마지막 김지성 선수.
네, 저도 요새 온라인에서 성적이 너무 좋다 보니까 기대해주신 분들이 많은데 오늘 꼭 그 기대에 부응하겠습니다.
죽음의 조로 일컬어지는 24강 C조 경기 과연 어떤 선수가 좋은 모습 보여줄지 기대하겠습니다. 인터뷰 고맙습니다. 자, 나의 레벨은 다르다 어나더 레벨 핫식스와 함께하는 ASL 시즌14 24강 C조 경기 과연 16강으로 향할 2명의 선수는 누가 될지 지금부터 경기 함께 만나보시죠.
What is up, everybody? We're ready to go into Group C. This ASL so far has been a blast, and I think it's going to get better and better as we continue onward.
Oh, yeah. The first two groups were very fun. It was cool to see Barracks actually end up making it through in Group B, although, after casting it, watching it, talking about it with you and some other people as well, like it really did feel like Shuttle was not playing his best. So a little bit unfortunate. But it's great to see Barracks go through, man. Like I was really happy with that personally, just because he's such a cutting edge Terran. Yeah,
it's fun to see these guys that are. I mean, I know everybody's been around for a long time, but he's like one of the fresher players. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's exciting to see players like him do well. Group C is going to be an interesting one. No Protosses today. 2 Zergs, 2 Terrans, and even though maybe MisO is the weakest of this group, I think it's extremely hard to call who comes out.
Yeah, it is. MisO has kill potential on everyone. Like, MisO is a very funny character where, Tastosis, I see games of him all the time where he's about to beat the best players in the world, and he can't shut off his aggression. It's just like, it's why he's good, it's why he's bad. And so, like, I've seen him 2 seconds from killing Flash, and then he just runs everything into bunkers. And, and I've seen that with like every top Terran. So he has potential to go ahead and make it out of this group, but obviously these other names are big, big names.
Yeah, I mean, Queen, Sharp, and Royal. Sharp, I think, is the Terran that, no matter what race you play, you can be a fan of the way this guy approaches the game. He's got a lot of unique takes on very interesting moments in the meta. I've always enjoyed, seeing his approach as a Terran player. He doesn't seem to follow other Terrans. Royal is a hyper-deadly, hyper-modern Terran, a real threat for this entire tournament. And, of course, Queen, I mean, we can't forget that for a little while here, Queen appeared to be the best player, outside of Flash.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. 2 ASL victories in a row, followed by 2 round of 4s that Mini had to knock him out, right? Like, that's the thing, is Mini has actually ruined what Queen could have actually had a stretch that looked like Flashes if it weren't for Mini, like the mad genius of Protoss. So this guy should be revered, and I think he is, to be honest.
Yeah, looking at Queen here. Hope he fixes that collar. That's going to bother me. Oh, thank God. Okay. I can't cast this unless that's sorted.
No.
I have that with tags sticking out of the back of shirts, too. Like, that totally bugs me.
Oh, yeah, and if there's any food on anyone's face.
Oh, that drives me crazy, man. Luckily, no food on anybody's face today here. Going up against MisO, I don't know about ZVZ with these two. I think, everybody kind of knows that ZVZ has never been our strongest suit. As a,
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know. We do a great job with CVC stasis.
But I do think Queen is going to have to put a little bit of work in here against MisO. I don't think that it's going to be that easy. I think MisO is a great ZVZ player. Obviously, we're in a part of the tournament where things are very on a knife's edge because, you get eliminated after one game, right? So it's pretty punishing. But this should be a fun one here. I got a lot to say about MisO overall, but really, I guess the thing is, if you put him on a spectrum, to macro passive, kind of big strategy to tactical super aggro, he is the furthest on that side, maybe out of all the Zergs that we've had, besides Soma. I guess Soma makes it work every time he does it, but MisO I would put in that category. Is that fair?
I would put him as the second most aggressive Zerg ever to make it into ASL. He is that aggressive.
Well, let's see what happens, guys. We're already going into this first best of one. This is Queen versus MisO. As we continue on here, ASL's back. Season 14, let's go.
All right, so we have Queen in that bottom right, and MisO in the top right. I feel like I've seen a lot of ZVZs on Butter lately.
Yeah.
I guess it's realistically it's like one in ASL or something, but I don't know. Yeah, man, it's Zerg versus Zerg.
I like how you led yourself into that. You're like,
matchup.
it feels like this, and then as you said it, you're like, actually, it's not true at all. And then you just
It's not true at all. I'm remembering now that
Nobody's
I
asking you to put yourself out here on the line, and then you said it, and I saw you talk yourself out of it. All right, it's going to be a good Group C, guys. So funny. I was just thinking about something. This is so totally random, but this is like, I think 11 years ago, right when we started doing GSL, and this is like when there were so many tech problems. It was like in every best of 3 we'd have to like stop, and I don't know why this came up, but somehow I said something that I thought was interesting, and it turned out was completely not true. And it was like, if you microwave a cup of water and like pour it on a plant, it will kill the plant. And then like I remember the whole internet like blowing up, and I'm like, I don't know, man. It's like something somebody told me at a bar, or you know what I mean, over coffee, and I thought it'd be like an interesting information, and it was so wrong, and I look like such an idiot.
That is really funny because that's like you buying into clickbait bullshit, like, and then telling a gigantic audience about it.
People that watch intellectual sport, it's like, don't worry, guys, your game's in good hands.
That was funny. I do remember that as well.
And it was like, I don't even know what prompted it, but it was like, well, I mean, I might as well just start talking about this. This is something to buy time, but that's not my best day. So we've got two opposite builds right now. We've got, Pool into Gas, whereas Queen is going into Hatchery. So it's kind of like these guys were typecasted for this matchup here. Queen, he can be aggressive. I'd put him a little bit more on the macro side in most of the games we cast here. But in this case, MisO is going to be opening up, with the opportunity to go for layer or ling speed, or perhaps both, a little bit quicker. And so it'll be Queen on the receiving end having to defend this.
Yeah, but I think he's going to be all right. It's not the quickest pool that you can get, and he is following up with that Hatchery, so it's kind of one of these more mid-rangey type of plays coming out of MisO. He does go ahead and start his layer, getting that up a little bit quicker here than Queen. But let's see if he actually can get any damage done with these lings.
Yeah, let's see what happens. It's going to be 6 lings coming out here. The timing is such that there's no lings that are going to be hidden, and they can't be hidden either because Queen's got his Overlord, bending around the entrance of the main. So there isn't any kind of trick play that can come in here. We see 6 lings hatching. I'm sorry, 4 lings hatching, but 6 will hatch here. We see that now. And, we got to see if MisO could pull anything off. I can't imagine he will if he went for layer before ling speed.
Yeah, right? Like, he could go aggressive, but there's just going to be more larva for Queen, and I feel like he'll be, shut down over the top. If you have the quicker layer, why not lean into that? Maybe play a more defensive game here with your lings, and yeah, that's exactly what MisO is going to go for. So, I mean, you can see he does have some range here. He doesn't have to attack all the time, even though he is a very aggressive circuit known for it.
So the Spire's coming down now, and even though Well, hold on a second. It's kind of funny. MisO is actually the one that makes the sunken colony, or soon to be a sunken colony here, as Queen's going to be coming out. I'm sorry, did Queen get a layer first? Yeah, he did. Okay. And so
but MisO's was a little bit quicker here. It's just he doesn't have the same type of larva count, right? So like I like the defensive stance. He's backed up towards that sunken. It can be a little bit tough to defend there, but if you keep those lings in a nice line, you just have to watch for your drones getting harassed.
I think the spires are roughly even here. So this should be, I think, actually one of the more interesting for you and I ZVZs to follow here. Is I don't feel like there's one side that's... Well, hold on a second. He's actually masked up a bunch more lings. And I don't believe that MisO's Overlord saw these. If you look, his are kind of banking away.
MisO saw some of them.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's seen every single one, but we just saw even a little creep colony trick there. So we're going to have a lot of lings. Queen is going for it. He is pulling the trigger. And if this doesn't work, that is going to be a huge issue. Like, MisO is going to get really far ahead.
So I think he has this lined up so as the mutas start, he is going to ram in. So these should be mutas. It's possible they're lings, but they should be mutas the way this is looking, which means there's enough time to tear down this entrance, do a ton of damage, and then the mutas have to clean this up. But, I mean, this is a lot of lings here from Queen.
Oh my god, it really is. The drones come out to try to help fight, but that sunken will end up falling here. He splits the lings off. Mutas are starting to pop out, though. Let's see how much damage he can prevent. The lings go into the mineral line, realizing they don't have time to kill off the spire, and he will kill a fair amount of drones, but is it going to be enough to pay off?
Yeah, I mean, he's killed off all the lings. I don't see a pair of lings hidden. A lot of times you hide one pair to try to run back in there. But if I'm measuring this correctly in my head, it seems like Queen is going to have exactly enough mutas to basically continue to match MisO. However, MisO's problem is going to be that he's already down in drones. So this, I thought this was actually going to be maybe kind of a tense macro game, but Queen sort of flipped it on its head. Keep in mind, at this point in time, I think Queen probably has at least 5 more drones. So
He definitely does have more. MisO's number has gone down, but there's a good amount of mutas here. Look at this, 6 mutas, 4 Scourge coming in. MisO still has potential. He has more mutas than Queen.
Yeah, but he's going to be in the hatching area here. So as these fights go on... Oh, nice snipe on that one, Scourge. Ooh. Another muta comes out. Ooh! Oh, those two connect on the mutas. I'm not sure the full HPs here. Okay.
Oh, the flanking Scourge do so well there, but MisO still has 5. He's going to go kill some of these drones. Some lings coming in as well. Scourge pop out. MisO's actually showing some very nice Mutalist micro here so far.
Oh, there are those 2 lings I said weren't in the game. So the mutas are going to come over here now towards the bottom right. And, again, it's all about sniping these Scourge. It looks like they're both actually eating Scourge shots, but I don't think MisO's watching. I think that the tension has kicked in here, and he's going to go back to his main and discover that there are no drones there. So this game's, I think, actually over.
It does feel that way. Like, unless MisO can basically win with this little group of mutas, which does not seem possible at this point, Queen should be taking game number 1 in a pretty quick one.
I mean, this is kind of wild. In fact, he's just going to keep hatching Scourge. He's trying to snowball this. What is it? 5 mutas there for Queen and 4 here. Yeah, this is mathematically impossible. All right, so we're going to be we're going to be going to a TVT, Artosis. This is over.
Yeah. Well, we go from the fastest matchup to the longest matchup.
All right, yeah.
GG.
Another one of our great ZVZ casts, guys. You're welcome, community.
Yeah, thank you for funding
Thank you, yes. Well, look.
Check it out, patreon.com.
ASL English. Woo! ZVZ cast from Tastosis. So we're going to wrap that one up, man. I mean, Queen is a stronger player. MisO did have an interesting opening, but it seems like Queen very comfortably shifted into the ling pressure. It actually felt like a very textbook game, like a good one you could just learn from. Yeah, I mean, Queen played him, and that's going to be that. MisO, of course, is not eliminated. He's going to be facing one of the Terrans that's going to lose in this next best of 1, whereas Queen will wait in the winner's match to see who his opponent is going to be. Again, Queen, one of these players, I'd say one of maybe the 6 players we got in this whole tournament where you got to say it's possible he could take the whole thing, right?
Oh, of course. Like, he is second in ASL to Flash as far as, success rate. So, definitely one of the favorites. Okay, gonna go to a quick commercial break. When we come back, Sharp versus Royal.
상큼함 맥스, 칼로리 X, 맛있는 탐스 제로. 요즘 제일 탐나는 제로, 탐스 제로. 같이 떠나볼래?
아침은 라떼, 홀릭 점심은 라떼, 홀릭 저녁엔 라떼, 홀릭 궁금하게 달콤하게 라떼 홀릭. 달달한 충전이 필요할 땐 칸타타 라떼 홀릭.
형님들 아프리카에 승부 예측 생긴 거 아세요, 여러분들?
아니 e스포츠 여기 탭에 있잖아요, 여러분들. 아니 이게 새로 생겼더라.
저는 광동에 올인했어요. 아 진짜요?
네.
아 그럼 전 DRX에 올인. 모바일도 똑같이 아래 가운데 보면 e스포츠 있어요. 잼이라는 포인트가 있어요.
아프리카 내에서 쓸 수 있는 재화라고 생각하시면 돼요.
잼을 사은품으로 교환 가능하다고요?
이 잼을 응모로 다 할 수 있어.
키보드는 벌써 나갔네.
아이폰 갤럭시 탭. 아 이게 200잼이야?
교환까지 할 수 있으니까 형님들 아프리카 승부 예측 많이 사랑 부탁드립니다. 받아보세요.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for waiting. We're going to be going into a Terran versus Terran next to balance out that extremely short ZVZ we just had.
Yeah, balance it out. It would be weird if this is going to be a very fast match, but we'll see about that in a moment. Before we get in there, though, guys, thank you so much for your support on the Patreon. We really do appreciate it. And yeah, the season is going to be just rolling out very quickly at this point, I think. A big shout out to our editing team of Cobra Venom and Nice Username. They are killing it. And please support on patreon.com/ASL English.
That's right, guys. The middleman is gone. Now you can directly support us there, so we really appreciate it. And thank you so much for keeping our English cast of Brood War alive. Going into this TVT, Artosis, look, man, I don't really have a ton to say about TVT. You've been laddering a bunch. I know that you're a huge fan of the matchup in general. What do you think about these two guys?
Well, these two are going to make like kind of a fun match, but it's hard to say what it's going to look like because Sharp plays a style that basically no top players play. In fact, anyone that I meet on the ladder that plays like Sharp, I have deep disdain for, while Sharp remains like my favorite character to watch.
I love that.
Because, yeah, well, the way he plays, like, he generally won't do like Vulture openers, okay? Like most of TVT has come down to like you open with Vultures in some way to get like map control because map control is so good. Sharp is just like a tank Goliath guy. He's a dropship guy. And he's willing to give up some of the early advantages of some of these other builds to get into that comfort zone. But he is the best in the world at that style. Now, Royal, like, he has the entire world as his playbook and then some other things as well that no one does. But you never know exactly what he's going to bring out. Like, he's pretty stylistic, but very solid fundamentally as well. So yeah, I have a hard time predicting what this is going to look like. The one thing that comes to mind is if Royal gets too fancy, Sharp can punish. Because the builds Sharp does, like, I think if you play like the complete standard meta in TVT, you're actually slightly ahead against Sharp. But if you play anything else, then Sharp is like, yes, tank Goliath, I'm ahead, I'm doing good. You know, now that I've said this, watch him go Vulture. But seriously, I've watched so many of his TVTs, and this is how they swing.
I mean, If I had to say a favorite here, I'd say this is maybe like 55% Royal. Is that fair? I think Sharp's very good. I think
really?
Sharp was a little bit better maybe a year or two ago, or maybe a little bit more of a focal point for the Terran race a year or two ago, but let's not count him out.
Yeah. I can't disagree with that assessment. Like, he definitely was, yeah. But he still got it in him, Tasteless.
Okay, if you say so, Tastosis. Guys, TVT on Butter. Sharp versus Royal. Should be an interesting one. Let's hop into this.
Right, down in the bottom right, we have Sharp. And in the top right, we have Royal. Now, a two-player map, obviously you can have things like proxy barracks. That's definitely something that can occur. I don't think we'll see it from either of these guys because, like, honestly, proxy barracks...
How common is that on ladder, on one-on-one maps?
Yeah, it's fairly common. Like, if you get a big MMR discrepancy, you see proxy barracks a lot from either side. The better player or the worst player thinks that it's a good way to go.
So it's kind of like two-gate in PvP, where it's like, well, it's always pretty strong. Like, if you want to win a game and you think you're better, or you think you're way worse, and you can't win if gas is taken in this game, you know?
Yeah. Something like that, yeah. But at like the pro level, it's just not as good because, like, if you just kind of realize that it's happening right before it gets there, you basically can hold it. So it only super counters like any of the very fast command center builds, which actually have fallen off a little bit meta-wise. Like, there was a while where Gaseous Expand and Command Center First were like the go-to builds in the matchup. But at this point, like, people have gotten good enough with factory expands, you know, that we don't see it as much anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I've always kind of wondered that. You know, it's a funny thing when you're playing, because, you know, you and I have both been grinding on ladder, you know, with this, but then it's like there are these matchups I just don't see, right? Like, what I know of TVT besides casting, you know, and occasionally I'll poke my head into streams and stuff, you know, is sort of like just the history of being a StarCraft player and kind of being familiar with it. But, you know, it's kind of like when you know, we cast a PvP together and you have these questions and I go, oh, that's funny. You're not familiar with that part. Okay. You know, like I had no idea. I'm like, does anybody actually double proxy racks in this matchup? Anyway, it's interesting to kind of see.
Well, people just get better and better at defending various things, right? Like, once upon a time, it was super dangerous, and just over time, people get stronger micro, stronger instincts, and you know, builds that kind of hedge against everything a bit more. So, taking a look here, like both sides going for those factories, it definitely looks like it's going to be just factory expansions on both sides. And of course, like, you can go for a slightly later double factory, like no add-on play, but it isn't that strong. Like, a lot of things that you do for the early game come down to, like, kind of tricking your opponent. Like, for instance, if you wanted to go for 2-factory here, when you both have scouted each other quickly on a 2-player map, it has to be like a 2-factory, no add-on play. And then if they make a bunker, you are so far behind, it's insane, right? But you're always trying not to make a bunker, because if you make a bunker and both of you expanded, the other guy gets his other factory up quicker and has more vultures, and it's like, oh god, all these little optimizations are really making it difficult.
Now, when you look at this map, I mean, we have to point this out because it's, you know, TVT is statistically the longest matchup. Occasionally PVT goes there, but PVT can also just end very fast. You know, 2 facts or, you know, any of the, you know, 100 cheeses that the Protoss have. There's, you know, ways for that to end. And TVT, by the way, can end quickly too. And, you know, especially when Flash plays, the games seem to be like under 10 minutes. He'll just win. But other than that, few Terran players seem to be able to consistently thread that needle and end the game outright. So a lot of times TVT really is this big war of attrition. And a lot of times it comes down to the map being chopped up, and oftentimes there's one expansion that is hanging or is then captured by a side. And that's how the game begins to end. And when I say begins to end, it might go on for 10, 15 more minutes, but it slowly, kind of gets steered to a halt and somebody wins. When you look at this map, it does seem like there are some interesting scenarios that could unfold in that, on both the right and the left center, these bases appear to be ambiguous as far as who, really defaults into them.
Yeah, and in a situation like that, and like with how easy it looks like it might be to actually split this map, I actually haven't seen any big TVTs here yet. That is, like, a map like this could go into Battlecruiser, like, for sure. The smaller the map, the more likely you're going to get into Battlecruiser, just because you can cut it up with less siege tanks. Whereas gigantic maps, it's like a lot harder because it's like, well, you can't hold on to everything and go BC and drop block. Drop block.
Shot block, drop
ships.
block.
But yeah, taking a look here, both sides are going 3 factory vultures. So what I was saying about Sharp, you're going to have to discard. He has decided to conform. He has become a sheep Tastosis. He's one of the many penguins that is going for 3 factory vulture. And the thing is, this is the strongest opener that there is. Like, the entire matchup revolves around 3 factory vulture.
Yeah, it seems like it's this thing that, like, once it starts, it's a little bit hard to get out of. Vultures come out so fast. It's funny because, like, vultures aren't even, like, that good against vultures. This might not make sense to people that don't play a lot. Like, they fire fast enough that they can kill each other off quickly, and they come out quickly. They're kind of like Zerglings. There is a little bit of a ZVZ-ishness to this matchup. Also, vultures can moving shot very easily, so, like, you got to be very careful when you do engage that you're not going to just be chased away forever. It seems like Royal's going to try to come in here with the shove.
Yeah, he might just hold this top ground location. He's watching for the sleeve. Now, look at this. You can see Sharp stylistically just playing it differently. Like, he got a quick armory, and he already has 2 Goliaths. Okay, so those 2 Goliaths will help him to win any attacks that come in, and they will push the barracks back instantly if he tries to attack again. But this means his vulture count will simply be lower than Royal's. So Royal gets that initial map control, and he's going to be able to lay mines all over the place.
It looks like he's going to try to come out now. Sharp is. With the mines on the map, we got to point out as well, Terran units actually shoot mines down pretty fast, so the mines need to be clustered quite a bit, but it does allow you to scout. I know this is an ASL cast, so we all know that vultures don't set off mines, but it is, going to make it pretty hard for either side to really engage each other fully. Now, we've got 2 Goliaths out here. How do you figure out the tank versus Goliath balancing act? Because you can't go vultures forever.
Yeah. So early game Goliaths fight well against other mech units. That's like they're always useful in the very early game, but as soon as tank counts go up, Goliaths are terrible. So basically, if you're opening with Goliaths, you want quite a few because they'll gun down vultures, they'll gun down mines, they'll actually even kill tanks very, very early. But after just a few tanks are out, you want as few Goliaths as possible. Like, literally as few as possible. So you want, like, tank vulture in general is just much stronger. So, like, on Sharp's side, we probably won't see any more Goliaths. Like, he's got what he wanted. He's got a couple that will offset, like, a weird battle that could have happened early on. It didn't happen, whatever. And now he's just running around laying these mines. And it's such a funny thing to see, right? Because the mines, like, you're right, they get gunned down really quickly by mech. They aren't necessarily going to hit your army as they go across, but the vision they give, like, Royal is watching the vultures run over his own mines and lay mines, and he's just remembering where these mines are being laid, right? He knows where his opponent's vultures are, and there's just so much vision on both sides. It's almost like StarCraft 2, like, creep going everywhere, and you see everything, and you're like, yeah, okay, I know where your army is. I'm not really in danger.
For the third bases here, this is always a funny map for a third base for the Terran because everything's pretty far away. It looks like Sharp's going to go for the first third base. We're still waiting to see if Royal's going to take his. Now, when you're in a position like this and you're in sort of this, arms race, like, basically nobody's mining from a third and we're already over 100 supply on both sides, which is pretty crazy, right? Is there any signal, like for Royal, for instance, is there some kind of a signal he's looking for that says, I can attack the third, or is that not even the mindset here?
Yeah, it's not as much the mindset. What you want to do is start moving your units out a little bit more. A lot of this early game is about jockeying for position. You don't want, like, for instance, your opponent, like, let's say Sharp took that, you see that little boomerang of the highest ground on the map.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I haven't played Butter TVT, but it looks like maybe that area could become important. Like, if you gain control of that. Like, this is so easily defensible. Look at this. Royal's coming here. There's like 4 units here. He can stop 1,000 vultures. So, like, attacking here is not really going to work. In fact, Royal's trying to, but I don't think this is a good idea at all. Like, look at how easy it is to defend this little choke.
I'm a little bit surprised Royal engaged there, to be honest. Hey,
Yeah.
This is a super newbie question, but I'm actually asking for me here. Is there anything, like when you see this mass vulture play, is there any kind of little trick, like you get an armory and get +1 attack or 1 armor to try to tip him over?
Oh, no, not in that case. Like, the only trick that exists there is, like, either switch your units so that they beat vultures or go more vulture. Like, sometimes you go 5-fact vulture off, like, 33 SCVs. But here, it's just Royal trying to push back with Siege Tanks. He's trying to take the middle. This is a powerful moment right here, right? Because Sharp did send some units over to the right side to defend, so I think that attack from Royal may have been a little bit of a feint. And now he's getting up onto this kind of, like, boomerang high. Ooh, a nice hit there. Ooh, he picks off the other tank as well. Very nice moves from Sharp. But Sharp bringing up his own tanks now. The thing is, this high ground looks like it's going to be won by Royal for now.
Yeah, Royal is going to...
not.
Well, hold on a second. Yeah, I mean... Oh, the tank to your right!
Yeah, beautiful move there as well. You saw how Sharp literally used move command to get the vulture next to the tank. That actually deals more damage than the vulture damage.
Yeah.
Taking the splash from your opponent, like, try to clear that. So you can see that this is the area that they've decided to battle over for now. You really do want as much map control as possible, and it looks like Royal does have a little bit of an edge here. Now, Sharp might start moving through some of the lower ground areas, maybe try to get around the back of that. Yeah, that's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to go up here, maybe lay some mines, maybe take this smaller ramp, and then flank that group later.
And so, we're going to see these tanks actually pull back down here. You were mentioning this earlier, Tastosis. I guess we can call it the boomerang position on the map here on the left. This does seem to be, in the long run, the most powerful position on the map. And one thing about TVT is that expansions are important, but also just map presence in certain parts also matters because it's such a slog to move through stuff.
Yeah. TVT is like, it's such a funny and tricky match. Oh my god, I can't. 12 hit point dropship getting in the main. Luckily, Sharp is right there on top of it. You won't lose too much. And look at that, his Goliath range finished just as the dropship got past. That's too funny. But yeah, like, TVT, there's so much about the position, because like you were talking about, like, eventually, you said in the beginning when you were describing, like, oh, eventually, someone might get one more base or whatever, and then that kind of becomes the beginning of the end. That's a lot of what this is. If you can crowd your opponent out of expansions and then reinforce those tank lines, the defender's advantage in TVT becomes so overwhelming. Like, if you have 150 supply, you will hold 200 forever in a defensive position. So, like, that's kind of the problem. If you can get that defensive position a little bit forward on the map where you hold an extra base, you'll just win by having more resources. So they have to battle hard for these areas.
Now, I've seen a lot of games where people will throw down a couple of starports and go for wraiths. A lot of times it's kind of a swing tech. Is there anything on either side that would prompt either of these guys to do that? Or is that sort of, I don't know. No, you go ahead. I don't know. Ask you the question, then I try to answer it with my garbage Protoss knowledge. I'm like, do you flip a coin? How does it work?
Yeah, no, we're not Protoss. We're Terran players. So we just do whatever we saw Flash do most recently. A completely more civilized way to approach your StarCraft games. But no, like, it's more of a stylistic approach. Do you like wraiths in the matchup? Sharp generally doesn't like wraiths in the matchup, and honestly, Royal generally does not as well. But once you get that third gas up, you get so much gas that you could, in fact, like switch to Wraiths. Here, it's all about Tank Vulture, though. These guys are really flooding Tank Vulture. And you can see Royal he's trying to stretch him all over the place. He brings down another attack in this area. Beautiful defense matrix there. And he actually looks like he may be able to break this base if he brings another big group right away.
Yeah, Royal.
Oh, never mind.
Royal at this moment, though, is really plugging into both sides of the map in a pretty impressive fashion. This base we had just on camera a second ago that's being made here, I mean, that's an extremely important location. And the fact that he's taking both that and this upper left base that we've given little attention to, this is kind of scary because now Sharp has to be the one to act. He has to figure out, okay, now what am I going to do? Because Royal has asserted himself. He's gained his ground. We got to see what exactly, Sharp can do in return.
Yeah, Royal's starting to really get ahead here. Like, Sharp has this boomerang, but Royal's going to be able to take it over. He has way more units. It's only 3 tanks up there and just a handful of other stuff. And he's not even targeting the siege tanks. He doesn't even have +2 yet. So,
wow.
It looks like it's going to swing towards Royal really, really quickly. Sharp is definitely getting behind. But Sharp is probably the best TVT player at playing from behind.
Yeah, he really is.
It's actually kind of like watching, it's a lot like watching Dark in StarCraft 2, where it's like, okay, no one's as good at playing from behind as Dark. And like, stylistically, Dark will just sometimes get behind. It's the same with Sharp, where he's very into Tank Goliath. And the thing is, when he gets behind like this, it's like, okay, well, there's a lot more units for Royal and everything, but Sharp is probably going to mass dropship here and start making some high brain moves.
But we got to wait and see what exactly that's going to be. It's important to note that the center right, like basically the 3 o'clock base, is well defended. But also that, it's the upper left is very far away. Sharp sort of has control over that, that boomerang area we talked about. But I'm looking at the numbers here, and they're not going to lie, man. I mean, it would seem like, oh, well, hold on a second. I think he kind of missed-sieged there. Some a little bit too far back there from Royal. So I think this is going to go pretty swimmingly here for Sharp.
Yeah, he just had +2 finish during the middle of this battle as well. That was actually a pretty slow +2, to be honest. That was a bit of a misplay from Sharp. You do want to get that a bit quicker. And we do see that he has a dropship and the starport's blinking. So I think we're going to see a mass dropship from here, that's like his natural state. Like, he really likes to fly around with dropships in these types of positions. Now, Royal trying to get 2 dropships past, and Sharp, like, he's coming up. He needs to push this back. This base is like the sister base to this base that we're looking at right now, this Royal base at 3, right? Like, if Royal takes 3 and holds it, you must take 9 and Sharp.
One thing as well with this map, it's not the biggest deal, but it's kind of narrow, right? It's like tall and narrow, which means that there's not as much of a strain on the defender to get turrets that can blanket everything. Our drops, well, I see 3 dropships now, but I mean, are drops going to be viable in this position? It does seem like it's a map where there's not a lot of runaround.
Eventually they won't be, but you're completely right. Like, a thin map like this is going to be divided up more easily. Less tanks and less turrets, which means it happens quicker. Now, they're scuffling a lot, so they're still going to be useful like this, right? Like, dive bombing on top of those tanks is fantastic, but Sharp going to come in with his own, and I think he will continue to hold this base. Yeah, enough siege tanks are coming that it's not going to be an issue, but as soon as the game slows down, the dropships are going to have a lot harder time finding any way in to actually do any damage.
Yeah, Sharp's kind of holding this. I don't know about Royal pushing here, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I feel like this is,
agree.
We've talked about this a lot as we both, are trying to continue to be students of the game. But, there's some bases that you look at and you go, yeah, that one we're not getting back. I feel like with this base in the bottom right, it's like once they have that, like Terran on high ground there, don't push that, because any push you get from there, like this is, well, Sharp is leading into what I wanted to say. He can then fight back from this position. It's an easy place to kind of attack from. So I don't know about that. One thing though with especially these kind of slugfest macro games in TVT is sometimes you're just looking anywhere for an advantage, and you can almost trip yourself up. I think this is where Flash outdoes other players' TVT. Is even in these super drawn out chaotic TVTs, everything he's done has basically been with purpose.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And I definitely agree that that was not a great move from Royal, but he's making a very strong one now, trying to break this boomerang high ground. If he gains that high ground and holds 3, the game probably won't last that much longer. This high ground over here basically controls 3 different bases. So if Sharp loses it, it's like he's not going to be able to really hold on to that bottom leftish base. Obviously, 9 o'clock is not going to happen for him. But he's trying to get some counterplay going on. He does a big drop here at Royals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th base.
Okay, a little attack down here. Actually, kind of a big deal to lose that science facility. We'll see how quickly Sharp can remake that. He may not notice that's gone right now, but that's going to be pretty important for these upgrades here as we move forward. Look at this mine. Oh, that was weird. Did the Goliath shoot that down? Is that what happened? All right.
Yeah, it might have. But look, like Royal, it looked like for a moment the game was restabilizing a little bit for Sharp, but now Sharp is under siege all over the place. He's having a hard time holding on to bases. He's down a good 30 supply. Royal has actually massed more dropships than him. And as long as Royal continues to lean, Sharp is not going to be able to stabilize these positions, I think. It really looks like it's going to end up being a Royal victory.
Yeah, I feel like this is almost over. Have the upgrades caught up yet for Sharp? I know
he's got 2-1, which is good enough. But no, 3-2 for Royal. Royal's been way more on top
3-2
upgrades.
is so good. TVT, you're right. +2 is the big one in TVT, but I mean, we're going to pretty shortly here see, I think it's quite possible Royal grow into 9 o'clock.
Yeah, Royal is just tightening the noose right now. There's really not much left here for Sharp to do. Like, he's still got good supply. He's got okay income still. He's still mining on 3 base. And he's got a lot of factories and everything. His upgrades are, like, good enough to play. But Sharp is behind all over the place. And as long as Royal does not do any gigantic throwing maneuvers, like, he's looking poised to win. Now, this is a good move from Sharp. This is the only area where Royal looks particularly weak. And Sharp is going to knock out this base. So this is a good moment for him. Look at this. There's no units at this base either. So he might knock out 2 Royal bases here.
Yeah, let's see what he can do, though. He's got to clean it out. And I don't think that 3 is... Well, hold on a second. I almost, like, the red became blue for a second. I'm like, and how is all of his tanks over there? Sorry. So that CC is going to go down. Yeah, Sharp fights back pretty well. I don't know that this is going to be a recovery, though.
Yeah. Like, it's a very good move, but he needs a little bit more than that as well. Because that whole left side of the map is owned by Royal. But Royal might be overextending here. Like, it looks like he's getting a little bit greedy. He's like, okay, you kill that base, I'm going to kill this base. It's like, no, this is right outside of Sharp's rally, and it's only like 8 tanks at 22 minutes in. You're not going to get much done. SCVs could kill that. So Royal loses those tanks, kind of loses the position that he had over there, and now he's lost 2 bases. And you can see that Sharp is really good in these tough spots where he is playing from behind. Like, he makes the right moves. He's moving around. Like, Royal's trying to finish a game where, honestly, you don't finish TVT by attacking. You finish TVT by reinforcing siege lines.
Okay, so I think a little bit of an overstep there by Royal. You got to be careful, too. Sharp's very good when he's cornered. He's very, very crafty. I think he plays more comfortably in positions like this than anybody else I can think of. And this is a big deal, man. The loss of 3 o'clock creates a pretty big imbalance here for Royal, to be honest. I think that, it's easy to gloss over, but a lot of these moments where Royal kind of tried to test the waters at that 3rd base for Sharp, he sort of threw this position. I think this is a position you put like 7 or 8 tanks there, a comical amount of turrets, and you never look at it ever again.
I 100% agree with you, Tasteless. 100%. And this is something that we see actually even from pro level TVT. I think, well, TVT is the matchup that Terran's practiced the least by far. Like, everyone kind of dreads even playing it, and you can see some of these fundamental flaws sometimes where it's like, oh, I just want to kill him. And it's honestly, like, TVT, when you have the position that Royal had, if you just reinforce everything for like 2 minutes, everything's unbreakable. But instead he's like, oh, I'm going to drop here and I'm going to attack here. And it's like, okay, like, the defender's advantage is so strong. I mentioned before, like, even if you're max, you're not breaking a 150 guy. So, like, this is how you let people catch up. But, you know, Royal's still got some good positioning going on. Like, he's got that boomerang still kind of under control. A lot of units are running through the center. So I think he can still win this game, but he's got to slow it down a little bit and stop trying to kill Sharp.
Yeah, I think it's important he tries to find advantages and not closers here. This is a good play here for sure. He's basically made up for, you know, what went wrong earlier. You got to watch.
Oh, looks like Sharp might. Is he going to be able to break through this?
Apparently, yeah. But I think it's going to be a momentary victory because this is going to be a huge army dump onto here. Wait, what, there's stuff in there, right?
Okay, he tries. There you go. Yeah, sometimes dropships glitch like that and won't unload. So he is going to clear that. Sharp brings the tanks down from the north. Oh, he pushed them way too far forward. Oh, he's going to lose a couple of them very quickly. But they're still doing an okay job with that +3 attack. The Goliaths get on top to draw some of that splash. And Sharp will once again clean it up. This is a crazy game, man. Like, they are really just going at each other's throats.
Yeah, this is a wild one. Now, I don't want to call this too soon. By the way, I'm sorry, I kind of assumed that a Royal had reclaimed this upper right base. This is insane. This is not landed over here? I can't believe it. To be honest, my eyes weren't really on that part of the minimap. Unbelievable. So, this is super important. The center right, which we were talking about, you know, should have been a place of inactivity for Royal. This may become the most important position on the map because with the this base right now not being landed and frankly being probably pretty squishy. This is even supplies, by the way, with Royal having an obscenely higher amount of gas. We can get to that in a little bit here. But yeah, now it's center right reclaimed here by Sharp. Center left is under Royal's control, and I don't think there's even going to be... oh, hold on. I was going to say we might not see any action there for a while. I stand corrected. Big drop up here. Is it going to be enough, though? We see a big wave of Royal stuff coming down here to try to fight this off.
Yeah, but he is laying some mines to make it hard to walk forward. Like, Royal... Yeah, I guess Royal can actually clear this, but another nice attempt there from Sharp. Like... Right now, it's like, okay, Sharp, can you retake the boomerang so that you can kill 9? That would be like a game-winning thing for Sharp, I think, because he has really taken control of the right side of the map. And by the way, since he has actually killed that third base location from Royal completely and he has units there, if he brings dropships to the main, that's like a funny way where you can just win the game instantly in TVT.
Well, isn't it kind of hilarious if you look at the minimap? Look at the vacancy of blue on the right side. You have a clear path into that main. I mean, you would literally have like a second to react. So maybe that is the play. Now, that being said, if Royal is a little bit, you know, he has too much stuff, he could also just roll over into the main here of Sharp. But of course, it's always harder to push into anywhere TVT. But let's see. I don't know how ham-fisted this is going to be here from Royal, but this is a pretty good tactical drop here from Sharp. And I mean, guys, this is the source of all the units in the game right now for Royal. There is no other place with factories. So, like, I don't even know with this map specifically how you can actually land other factories other places. If he could do, like, another drop in from this in a little bit here. If he doesn't kill his own units with Splash on those buildings.
Yeah, and killing the depots and stuff. Like, rebuilding depots is very difficult for Terran. That's one of the big pains that can happen. Such a strong move from Sharp. Like, he has utilized those... Like, it actually, like, yes, he opened with 3 Factory Vulture, but everything else was exactly as I was describing, right? Where he gets behind, like, Royal had more map control and everything, and then he goes dropships and just fights his way back. Like, this is exactly a Sharp game. Look at this. Like, he's taking over the main base.
Oh, my God.
And I swear to God, like,
I can't
Royal
believe that, dude. Even with
Yeah.
the drop in the main, I'm like, this isn't really happening, right? That's insane. Now that's Sharp just having this understanding. Wow, look at Royal, man. Sodium is the word that comes to my mind. That is, that's rough, man. That was a great TBT, though. I really enjoyed that. Again, you know, Sharp never fails to amaze me. I'm glad you called it earlier, Artos. It's kind of like when we talk about Dark and StarCraft 2, where it's like, no, this guy plays from behind very well. And now we see why. And so now we've got Sharp versus Queen. This should be a really fun TVZ.
Yeah, that's going to be great. And Royal, I think, you know, is going to be a hard match for MisO. But yeah, you can see Royal not too happy with that. Honestly, he was super far ahead for most of the game. Like, for most of the game. Like, Sharp was in such a terrible position, but Royal just kept attacking, and allowed Sharp to come right back. He was just so cost inefficient with some of these attacks. Where, honestly, like TBT, if you gain more ground and you reinforce it, it's so hard for your opponent.
It is, man.
Some mistakes were made, and Sharp goes on to that winner's match coming up next after this commercial break.
상큼함 맥스, 칼로리 X, 맛있는 함 제로. 요즘 제일 탐나는 제로, 우리들의 제로 탐스 제로. 같이 떠나볼래?
칠성사이다 제로.
이 정도 되면은 T2에는 정찰도 위로 올 필요도 없었거든요, 사실.
여기다가 해철이 선수가 한번
야,
맞죠?
이거 다음 싸움을 좀 이어나가려고 하는데 이렇게 되면요. 앞마다 컷도 훨씬 빨라요. 그리고 자원 채취 먼저 되고요.
일단 원해철이라는 사실 자체가 좀 우울한 거죠. 자원도 부족하고 저글링 하나 남겨놓고 저걸로 정찰을 하기 위해서 시도를 했다고 보기에는 너무나도 초라한 결말 아니겠습니까? 앞마당 가서 괜히 또 캐논에 맞을까봐 본진화 쪽에서
엑서스를 깨고 저 가스통을 깨면 와, 이거 힘내고 대출 받아서 진짜 초반부터 다 쓰는 거거든요. 바로까지 했는데
히드라 둘 보여주면서 입구 쪽 캐논 강제해놓고 뭔가 가스를 캐면서 본진 안쪽을 급습할 수 있는 이런 방법을 또 선택을 할 수밖에 없는데, 자, 뮤탈리스크라는 걸 봤죠. 히드라 둘 보여주고 뮤탈리스크 생산해서 본진 안쪽으로 온다라는 사실 알았습니다. 이 뮤탈리스크로 프로브들 학살해가면서 상대방 자원줄을 하나 못 쓰게 만드는 것이 기본이 돼야 돼요.
네, 확장 하나 이거 초토 한번 시켜야죠.
자, 그래서 본진 안쪽에다가 캐논 히드라 둘을 일단은 통했거든요.
거기는 시간만 끌어도 됩니다. 자, 캐논 완성만 기다리면 돼요.
그렇죠.
캐논 10개가 됐건 몇 개가 됐건 지어야죠.
자, 뮤탈리스크 이후에 스커지까지 오면은 본진 안쪽에
자, 위쪽 캐논 활용.
네, 위쪽 캐논으로 피해서 스커지를 일단은 벗어났고 커세어를 계속해서 좀 줄이고 결국 스타게이트를 깨고 대국이 안 되게끔 상황을 만들어 놔야 뮤탈스가 이득을 보는 거거든요.
커세어 생산 시간을 멈춰야 돼요.
네.
자, 뮤탈
자,
체력도 지금 체력 많이 빠졌어요.
커세어 둘, 커세어 셋.
자, 3개.
체력이 많이 빠졌기 때문에 다 도망가야 됩니다. 그래서 앞마당 쪽에다가 스타게이트 하나 더 지었죠. 스타게이트.
뮤탈 없이 스커지를 뮤탈이 적당히 매진해주고 자, 뒤에서 뒤통수를
그러니까 잠깐 커세어가 공격을 멈췄었거든요. 그 사이에 뮤탈리스크가 앞쪽으로 자리를 바꾸면서 스커지가 뒤통수에서 제대로 막았습니다. 공격력이 움직였으면 여기서 다 녹았을 거예요. 그 정도로 커세어가 많습니다.
커세어 저 스커지게 둘러싸이지 않으려고
자, 이슬이요.
자, 그러다 이제 안으로 구석으로 갔거든요, 일부러.
그렇죠. 다시 힘쓰네요.
자, 공속터.
자, 그리고
직동기
자, 힘쓰네요.
아, 너무 많습니다. 서클계 뮤탈로 정리가 좀 안 되는 수준이었어요. 변현재 선수가 이번 경기 1위로 8강 진출 확정됐습니다.
Welcome back, everybody. We were just talking about the Corsairs in that game. And he was asking if that's what happens with my Corsairs, and I was saying, my Corsairs disappear. My Corsairs, it's like one of those horror movies where there's a bunch of stupid teenagers and they're being killed one by one. That's my Corsairs. They're just slowly, each one's dying a different horrific way. One dies of Scourge, another one just gets murdered by Hydras. It's that's my experience.
Yeah, I hate losing like a random unit around the map.
Yeah.
It's like I'll be like, don't I have a dropship? Do I have a dropship?
Where's my observer? And
go?
you're looking for like 10 seconds. You're like, this is insane. I have so many things to do. Where is it?
Yeah. Oh, nice water bottle.
Yeah, that's
here.
a
for
thermos.
Queen.
Is it a water bottle?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a water bottle. It's one of those. It's like a thermos water bottle that keeps it like extra colder. I got one of those with me right now, Tastosis. You get one of these ones that's like metal, like a thermos. Dude, your water will be cold all day long.
Dude, that's cool.
It's
You know what
crazy.
I'm drinking from? I'm drinking from a free StarCraft 2 mug I got from BlizzCon that is so big, I feel like I'm a child. I'm like almost chipping my teeth and hitting the mic trying to drink out of this thing. All right, guys, the winner of this best of one. Moving on to the next phase of the ASL, Season 14, Sharp vs. Queen. I have no idea who takes this. What do you think, Artosis?
I'm going to go with Queen.
Yeah, I feel like Queen, too.
All right, so down in the bottom left, we have Sharp. And in the bottom right, we have Queen. All right. I mean, Sharp is very good TVZ. He's a little bit predictable. He plays SK Terran almost every single game. I feel like a lot of our older Terrans are like that, right? Like Light, remember we had this big surprise last season where he pulled mech out one game?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Against Zerg? Yeah, because it's like he never goes mech, man. Seriously. Like, Sharp and Light are the guys that I actually really watch a lot. So yeah, Sharp is very likely to just go Barracks expand and just play a very standard macro game here. And, you know, obviously that can win. He's good enough to beat Queen. Oh, he's actually... Oh, he's just going for a wall. That's what's going on. Is he going to 8 racks? It's crazy. Okay. But no, it's not really that crazy either. But yeah, just going for a little bit of a wall here, which is, you know, a solid play overall. This will have one hole up at the top, I believe. And that should be it. But that allows him to, like, skip a bunker, for instance. But, you know, those depots could become a problem later on, whether it's like a lurker rush coming, which is not that common because it's not that good. Or even possibly the mutas could dedicate themselves to killing those depots, and there's not much of a way to defend them.
So we got that barracks coming down here now. Queen has had, I think, some of the scariest ZVT in the last couple of years. Would you agree with this? I feel like he really is comfortable in the matchup. He rose up when I think Terrans were looking very strong, like, you know, Flash, but others as well. I think there was a time when, you know, you couldn't be a top-tier Zerg unless you could absolutely hang with the very, very best of the best Terrans.
Yeah, so, like, definitely, like, I feel like there's 4 Zergs right now that really are bending everything to their will, and it's Queen, it's Soma, it's Hero, and it's Sulky, right? And Queen and Soma have a more similar style to each other, much more likely to go 2-hatch. Hero and Sulky, they still mix in more 3-hatch play and stuff, and it's very different styles between those guys. But yeah, Queen obviously very, very strong in this matchup. Ooh,
no!
Look at that SCV get wrecked.
Right, you ever these players that will always kill your worker? It's like the worst way to start a game out. It's like someone who's just drone shot is so good, you're like, oh, I'm going to lose this game already. Like, my confidence is destroyed.
Yeah, when they catch your first one, you can't get it to their base. I'm just like, I hate you. I hate everything. Did I tell you about the mini game where Light couldn't scout?
I mean, what do you mean? Do we cast this, or was this something you?
No, I don't think we cast it. I think it's a game that I watched. Like, basically, Mini got a probe outside of Light's base, and Light sent his scout SCV, and Mini just kept behind it through the map and killed it, and then sent the probe back and found the next SCV that came and
that's
chased
insane.
it around. And like, Light didn't get to his base until like 4 minutes.
This is so funny, like, because I'm at the point now, if I can focus on it, I can always kill the SCV. Like, it took me a little bit. It's not that easy, because if they're actually paying attention, the juking, it's like kind of, you have to really be in their head, you know, to chase it down. But like, it's, when you're trying to do that, the idea that you can actually do everything you need to back at your base and like make all the, it blows my mind that people can do that. Seriously. Like, that's crazy that he would have killed 2 SCVs or killed one and chased the other one away and then not missed a single beat. That's wild.
Yeah, and to see something like that, I'm like, okay, so the best Terran in the world literally can't even scout this Protoss guy. I'm like,
this is why
this is giving me chills, because anything you see a pro do in a couple years, everyone will be able to do.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's how it goes.
Well, this is also why the probe is like an S tier unit, is that it can do that along with, you know, do all these proxy builds and Manor Pylon and Mineral Moon. I mean, it's just a good unit, but the drone has that same strength the probe does. I do hope, by the way, when Stormgate comes out, there's something like that, some kind of cool mechanic, like a moving shot or something like that that's so impressive, because I do feel like this is something we lack in StarCraft 2 in general. Like, you know, the idea that one like the fact that this drone that we're watching right now versus SCV, this drone, if controlled right, can endlessly moving shot this SCV, even though the SCV has more hit points, and kill it.
Yeah, that's kind of a funny thing about Brood War. The more effort you put into a given unit, the more you get out of it.
Yeah.
Like, almost always.
It's like a problem in StarCraft 2 where, like, almost nothing happens in the early game because nothing can happen if you're both good enough. Other than, like, the Reaper maybe kills a Ling, and it's like, well, all right.
A couple Lings actually run in here. This is an Academy rush from Sharp. He's moving across, of course, 2 Sunkens on the way. That is the normal counter to that. I don't think Sharp will try to hit top right. That might be a little bit too risky. And, like, once he sees the 2 Sunkens, you generally just turn around here. So this has been...
Oh, what?
Oh, he actually goes for it.
What?
Yeah,
Why would he do that?
And you see he turns around.
Well, he doesn't lose anything. I guess it's fine.
Like, let's say that Sunken had just started morphing, he actually can win the game there. Or not win the game, but get way ahead. But it was just finishing. Like, you can't tell, right? As a Terran.
Sure.
So he's like, okay, well, let's see if you were late on that. And he wasn't. So he gets away. And it's like, yeah, you lose some energy, whatever. He didn't actually lose any units. So, but yeah, just making his turrets at home. And I think he only has 2 racks here. Maybe that's a 3rd Rax that's building. I can't quite tell. I actually really want to see, because this has become a very interesting point of TVZ for me. Like, a lot of these 3 and 4 barracks builds are not able to move out in the map anymore against mutas.
So he's going to go ahead and bunch back into his base. And we're sizing up for a traditional TVZ here. Mass Muta. That 3rd base has been taken in the top right. And it's going to be Terran on the receiving end for a little bit here. If I understand correctly, this position is fair for Terran, right? You can pretty much get enough turrets over here that you should be fine, right?
Yeah. This is fine. This is a pretty well-made map. Like you see, it's kind of an interesting turret that he's trying to put in the back there. Generally, that turret will be picked off pretty quickly and harassed pretty heavily. And yeah, like... The thing is, nowadays, even if you build, like, infinity turrets, if the Zerg wants to, they'll kill your SCVs still. It's just they're going to trade, like, a lot of health on mutas, and they're going to be a little bit softer. But a lot, like, the modern Zerg meta for, like, really top-level play, they'll produce mutas for a very, very long time and just really punish your SCV count.
Okay, so he's going to be moving out now. Now, it's important to note that there are not a lot of Lings here. If you see a lot of Lings, then you want to be very careful as a Terran, because you can just end up losing a fight. It looks like he's trying to stim bait here. And good shot there. Gets the medic. And he's going to... Oh, misclickery.
Yeah, so that was nice. Like, he was actually going after the medic there as well. If you pick off medics, like, that is the best case scenario. But Sharp kind of... saw that coming and parried it very, very well. But Sharp has to be careful. Like, he scanned and he saw Mutas still hatching. If you scan and you see Hydras hatching or you see drones hatching, then like you have more potential with your push. But when like Mutas are still coming out, like Queen is preparing for this. Like he's trying to whittle this down. He's trying to make sure that he has enough the entire time.
So it looks like he's going to do another dive in here. Is the Terran too far out right now?
He might be, but he's doing a good job of it. Like, that's the thing, right? Like, you never know exactly how well each player is going to play in these given circumstances. Like, there's a lot of micro, there's a lot of reaction going on. But if he loses this Bioforce, he's going to be really far behind. Now, if he gets this Reinforce up here, which it looks like he's going to, that's too much for the Mutas. And you can see Queen realizes that. He's throwing down a creep colony. He does have a Hydralisk Den, so I'm sure that Lurker upgrade is on the way. But he has to live through this first.
Okay, so the third Sunken Colony's coming up here. It's some really good snipes over here by the Mutas. Terran now close enough. And, oh god, another juicy medic there. Very tempting to try to get that one. What is that, 4 medics total? So usually you need, like maybe, I don't know the math on this exactly, but if it's like 3 sunks, you want like maybe 4 medics, if that makes sense, with your army to kind of try to come in there and get the sustain.
Well, hold on. He's actually trying to attack in right now, and that just totally did not work. You can see it's so hard to attack these Sunkens. The Mutas just went to town, and now Lurker's on the way. I think that was the first big misstep from Sharp right there. But yeah, generally, for the question about like medic counts, generally you don't think of like sunken counts versus medic counts. You think of bio. So it's like for 12 Marines you want 3 medics. For 24 Marines you want 5 medics. That's like the general.
Oh, really? Okay.
And you never go above 12 medics. Like
that makes
even
sense.
if you have like 7 groups of Marines, you just keep 12.
Nice snipe there on that SCV. Well, I think Sharp's pretty okay. That being said, Queen is tech-wise where he wants to be, right? The Defiler Mount is done. We've got the double starports coming out here. This is going to be full-on SK Terran. Second eBay coming down as well. So this should be a pretty dramatic TVZ, I think. I don't see any way that either side can end this. It is going to be, I think, hold position Lurkers here with the Mutas to try to bait it in.
Absolutely, I think you're right about that. And he kind of randomized the position that they're in here as well. Like, that would be a place you might stand to think about attacking the natural, right? So I like the spot that he chose. Looks like he is splitting his army a little bit, maybe checking for a possible 4th base over at 3 o'clock. Of course, that's not taken quite yet. But yeah, this is becoming so standard. Like, this is the most standard. Like, this is how, if you want to get good at Terran, this is how you want to play. You want to get good at Zerg, this is how you want to play.
Yeah.
Because this is like the full range. Like, every single interaction basically is going to be happening here. This is really hard on both sides. And I'm excited now that we've gotten into this spot. Yeah, I don't know who's going to be able to take it.
Yeah, well, the vessels are now out. Soon the Mutas are going to have to respect the vessel's presence and try to back up here. We've got more hatches coming down now in the main. I'm glad we're getting kind of the classic ZVT here that we've seen, you know, over the last maybe 24 years of Brood War. This, you know, it's not always looking like this, but this is going to be like your, you know, I think that the way the game is always going to be remembered, right? If you would talk about these two races at least. Is this kind of insane comp where both sides have these glass cannony armies. It's so much damage. By the way, the big, I think, climax of the mid-game is coming here is he's going to try to set up for the drop into the main here. I see Mutas, I see Scourge, but I don't see any Lurkers here. And, you know, oh, nice with the combo. Oh, that was a good punish by him. Out of curiosity,
I mean,
sorry, Toast. Out of curiosity, 1 Scourge hit, and then how many Muta hits to kill a dropship? Do you know?
Oh, I'm not, like 2, I think.
Oh, so it's really low.
I'm
okay.
not. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure because normally it's just 2 Scourge that hit my dropships. But no, when you see the Mutas, I'm surprised he even tried to drop there because when you see the Mutas spread like that, that's literally just anti-drop. So a little bit unfortunate. Nice play goes down. He's taking his 4th. So right now, I would say that Queen has taken a pretty sizable advantage. The game is not over. There's still some play here for Sharp, but When you go dropship like this and it totally doesn't work and your opponent's getting... Like, this is a very fast fourth base. Like, this is exactly when Queen wants it. And if you're not delaying it at all, that's not where you want to be at.
Well, this is just going to be cleaned up. I mean, I'm kind of surprised Sharp even, tried to make something happen with that dropship. It's probably better to pull it back and maybe even wait for a couple more and try again later. Let's also keep in mind, Sharp just got out of a pretty exhausting TVT earlier that we saw. Well, it does seem like, and I might be wrong, but it does seem like we're getting to the point in time where they're both just going to be, well, Zerg's going to turtle and Terran's going to contain. And it's going to be kind of a grind for Terran to break into either of these positions. The big thing for the Zerg is going to be the fourth gas here. That's going to allow some very scary hive tech to come in.
Yeah. Eventually, we're just going to see him start massing up ultras. Right now, it's about Dark Swarm and Plague. If he can reduce vessels, that's fantastic. But he's just kind of stabilizing while he gets that economy really rolling. And you can see his supply is actually pulled even/ahead. And that's where you can really tell. It's just like Zerg versus Protoss. You see that supply go up for Zerg in comparison to their opponent. They're winning. Like, 100%. They are winning that game.
So he's going to start trying to irradiate whatever he can. Oh, that was really nice. Real value there, eating those shots on the Scourge, too.
Yeah, and he's rotating around. He's hitting his irradiates. This is exactly what you do need to do. But is he making any real headway here, I think is the big question. Sharp does have 4 bases, and I'm interested to see where he goes from this, because either you add an additional starport and get a lot more science vessels, or you go into battle cruisers, which would also be with another starport as well, because when you get 3 gas, you get so much gas you can't even spend it. So you really got to do very heavy on the irradiates, or get a lot of battle cruisers out to fight as well.
Okay, a little attack in here. Good Dark Swarm. Definitely not the part of the map that Sharp should be trying to move out on here. And the Defiler gets gunned down there. It doesn't seem like Sharp has a ton of presence here on the map. He might want to try to back up here. Vessels especially are these things you really want to try to accumulate over time. They allow you to really kind of make anything happen in any given situation. It's sort of like the Swiss Army knife, the Terrans, late game here. You see too many lurkers irradiated. You think you're going to have a fight that's unfair, defensive matrix, and obviously detection and everything else. But when you see him hemorrhage that many, it gets a little bit worrisome here. Terran does have enough of the map that we may see this kind of this flippening of who ends up getting more and more of the map. Traditionally we think of Zerg as the race that consumes the map, and they always are until it gets to late game TVZ, where a lot of times the Terran can kind of keep growing, and it's going to be up to the Zerg to have these power units like Ultras and Dark Swarm to allow them to really take fights.
Well, one of the problems that happens at this stage of the game, it's okay, you have 4 bases as Sharp, you're macroing like a beast, you have a lot of vessels and everything, but you start to lose map control. So that's what we're starting to see now. He catches these Ultras, which is absolutely fantastic. Right now you see him kind of combing through the map. He's trying to catch armies from Queen, because what Queen will do from here is, since he's no longer completely contained, he'll start running out the sides just like this. Look, Defiler Lurker coming out the side. If he gets to your base with that, your base is dead. So this is how you kind of punch back as Zerg at this point. And you see, here comes another one. He's okay, now this side, Dark Swarm. And if he gets a Dark Swarm down, it's okay, there you go. We can actually get on top of that. You're going to have to lift that command center if he just puts stuff underneath the Dark Swarm and attacks it. See, there you go. And that's... this is the problem for Terran, and he's trying to comb around, he's trying to catch these little attacks, and then clean them up when they get through as quickly as possible.
Now, that was a pretty successful attack, just forcing that lift over there. He's going to go ahead and head back over here with the rest of these Ultras. He needs to retreat and try to have them heal up. Another little attack over here now, this time from the center left. What is actually in the center left? It's just 2 or 3 bunkers, right?
Yeah, and I think it's just Marines in those bunkers as well. So if you do get a Darkstorm down, it's over. Ultras break through Marine bunkers super easy anyways. You need a huge mass of Marines to take down Ultras. So this is a very strong attack, and you can see where Queen is just going back and forth on either side, and he's starting to expand as well. He's making 2 hatcheries while doing this. It's like perfect play that we're seeing from Queen. Like this is theoretically exactly what you're supposed to do, and that's exactly what he's doing. And you can see how hard it is for Sharp, right? And it's like, okay, now we have to try to clean that up, and then he scourges some vessels because you're not as well clumped anymore. He's going to take down this 3 o'clock base, but 12 is going up, and his 4th is dead. And we're going into like the natural now with Darkstorm.
Oh man, I think Queen may be at the point of just taking this. I think he's there's been some moments where Queen has dropped an Ultra here or there, but I think it's totally forgivable. Now, look, Sharp has taken out the spot at the center right, and I know that Sharp is like the Wonder Boy that just came back in that TVT, but I think the parameters of this game are a little bit different. It's a little bit tougher to recover here.
Once you lose that map control, that containment that we saw for a good portion of that mid-game, and they start running around with Ultra Ling Defiler, there's just, you can't, like, if the Darkstorm gets down on your base is dead. And we saw that already, right? And now his 3rd is lifted, his 4th is lifted, he's just getting control of his natural and his rally point again. And Queen now has a 5th base. So it goes from, like, 4 base versus 4 base to suddenly, like, 1 to 2 base versus 5 base. And, like, you're not going to be able to keep this up as Terran. So this game, honestly, the game is over. Like,
yeah.
Sharp is still microing because this is what he does, but Queen is not going to lose from this position.
No, this should be an easy 1-2 punch here. All Queen has to do is basically get all of his supply together. By the way, when Zerg get to this height of supply, it's really hard, regardless of the matchup, to kind of overcome them. I mean, they have such an insane amount. And if you had infinite unit selection in this game, it would actually break the game because they just destroy. They'd win every fight.
Yeah, it's pretty wild how strong the Ling Ultra would be at that point. Some good irradiates coming down. Sharp still has fantastic upgrades comparatively. It's only 4 carapace against his 3 attacks, so that's really good. And that's part of the reason why he can kind of hang on still. But you can see, look at this army just coming across the map. Now, he irradiates the Defilers before they get there, so he can actually just hold on against the units. You know, like, we're not quite to the mass where you can just attack move to kill Sharp. You kind of do need those Defilers to get up there as well, but you can see now, look at all the blue starting to flow across the map.
Yeah, it's pretty scary, man. And, I mean, that's it. It looks like Queen's going to get out first. I guess it was obvious all along, man. I mean, this is a guy who is an absolute killer, an ASL champion. GG. He does defeat Sharp, and that is going to be it here. Queen is going to move on to the next phase of the ASL, and we're going to see if this is going to be a season he might end up winning. Sharp, man, he's having to do a lot of work today. He's not out yet. He'll be in the final best of 1 at the end of Group C. And up next, we're going to be eliminating one of our 2 players.
Yeah, that's right. Of course, we're going to have to do a Queen interview here in a moment. But very, very well played. Like, that was so entirely textbook, and every portion of it, Queen did correctly. I think one of the really defining moments was Sharp attempting that double drop. Like, you're skipping a couple more vessels, and you're putting 20 supply on the line, and he got 0 done with it. You irradiated a couple spread mutas. That wasn't an issue. He flew right into the Scourge, and, you know, Queen just shut that down so hard. And Sharp was, like, as soon as Queen shut it down, he took that 4th, man, and there was no looking back for him.
Well, we're going to go to that interview now with Queen. Let's see how he's feeling. He is moving on to the next phase of the ASL Season 14.
ASL 시즌 14 24강 시조 경기 함께하고 계십니다. 오늘의 첫 번째 16강 진출자가 탄생했는데요. 김명훈 선수와 함께 이야기 나눠보겠습니다. 축하드립니다.
네, 감사합니다.
역시 김명훈 선수의 테란전 운영은 정말 탄탄하다라는 이야기가 많이 나왔습니다. 자, 이번 시즌에도 역시 16강행을 확정 지으셨는데요. 소감부터 좀 들어볼까요?
사실 제가 요즘에 폼이 좀 떨어져가지고 어떻게 좀 쉽지는 않을 것 같다라고 생각했는데 생각보다 너무 쉽게 올라가서 이거 이번 시즌에 조금 욕심 내봐도 될까라는 생각이 들었어요.
조기석 선수와의 승자전 경기에서 완전히 손 풀린 듯한 플레이가 나왔어요. 닭가스를 가져가고 이 난전으로 테란을 좀 압살하는 듯한 느낌의 플레이가 나왔는데 테란전에 있어서는 그래도 ASL 내에서 워낙 명품이기 때문에 자신이 있지 않았나요?
생각은 많이 해가지고 그래도 대회 때는 잘할 수 있지 않을까라고 했는데 생각보다 잘 풀린 게 기석이가 테트전을 너무 열심히 해서 진이 빠진 것 같아요. 네, 그래서 운 좋게 좀 쉽게 풀린 것 같습니다.
이 중반쯤에 조기석 선수가 이 초반 드랍십과 베슬로 5시 쪽 본진으로 좀 공격을 시도했을 때 좀 위기감은 없었나요?
제가 온라인에서는 막 모든 수를 다 생각하고는 안 하는 것 같아요. 근데 대회 때는 처음부터 끝까지 모든 상황을 다 머릿속에 생각을 하고 있어서 그것도 생각한 것 중에 하나라서 당황하진 않았어요.
네. 또 자신이 워낙 있었던 한두열 선수와의 첫 번째 경기도 굉장히 빠르게 저글링을 추가로까지 좀 많이 뽑으면서 승리를 거뒀는데 뮤탈이 나오기 직전 타이밍을 좀 노리셨던 것 같아요.
근데 빌드가 제가 좋았어가지고 빌드바를 살려서 좀 공격적으로 하면 좋을 것 같았는데 두열이가 생각보다 뮤탈 컨트롤이 좋아가지고 그거는 좀 당황했어요.
자신감을 좀 한층 더 쌓아 올릴 수 있었던 24강이 아니었을까 하는 생각이 듭니다. 김명훈 선수 또 이런 자신감을 바탕으로 많은 팬분들 앞에서 더 높은 곳까지 가는 모습을 보여주고 싶으실 텐데요. 각오 어떠신가요?
이번에 조가 나오고 나서 김명훈이 떨어질 수도 있다라는 그런 말들이 많았던 것 같아요. 그래서 내가 이렇게 많이 내려왔구나라는 생각을 하면서 이번 시즌에는 도전하는 마음으로 이번에 우승 한번 도전해보도록 하겠습니다.
그럼 16강에서 조가 편성될 때 좀 선호하는 종족 어떤 종족일까요?
딱히 종족은 상관이 없는 것 같아요. 네, 제가 잘 할 때는 종족이든 상대가 누구든 간에 다 이겼었기 때문에 제 실력을 찾는 게 급선무인 것 같고 저만 잘하면은 조가 어떻든 상관이 없을 것 같아요.
역시 대회에서 우승한 경험이 있는 선수답게 굉장히 자신감 넘치는 모습인데요. 16강에서도 멋진 플레이를 기대해 보도록 하겠습니다. 진출 축하드립니다.
네, 감사합니다.
자, 이렇게 해서 오늘의 첫 번째 16강 진출자 김명훈 선수와 함께했습니다. 잠시 후 펼쳐지는 패자전과 최종전도 함께하시죠.
실성사이다 제로.
상큼함 맥스, 칼로리 X, 맛있는 탐스 제로. 요즘 제일 탐나는 제로, 탐스 제로. 같이 떠나볼래?
아침은 라떼, 홀릭 점심은 라떼, 홀릭 저녁엔 라떼, 홀릭 둥글하게 달콤하게 라떼 홀릭. 달달한 충전이 필요할 땐 칸타타.
All right, welcome back. We are going into that losers match, and it is going to be on Odyssey between MisO and Royal. I definitely do think it is Royal favored, but you've got to watch out for MisO. I swear to God, if he could just slow himself down when he gets the advantage, he would move up like 2 tiers as far as Zerg players go. Because right now, I feel like he is like a round of 24 / I barely didn't qualify for ASL player, and I feel like he could move up there if he would just sometimes pump the brakes.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to have a better feel of where he's at going into this game here. I mean, that ZVZ was so short, I don't think I have an idea of where he's at exactly. I do think one of the dangers here for him is that Royal is so good at having solid defense and allowing Zergs especially to overextend into him so he can take that lead. And honestly, by the way, I thought Royal was going to be in the winner's match here. It looked like he was winning that TVT. I mean, he's looking to be in very good form, right?
Oh yeah, Royal's in great shape. He's definitely one of the best Terrans in the world right now. But yeah, let's see what he pulls out here on Odyssey against MisO. I'm hoping that he just plays a solid game. All right, in the bottom left, we have MisO. And in the top right, we have Royal. Now, just got to throw this out there. You know, you have this double gas main base. That means that you have 3 gas instantaneously on 2 base. And if you do take a third, you now have 4 gas, at least for a little bit. Like, I believe that's 1,000 gas geyser, so it's going to last a little over 3 minutes. But if you choose to do, oh god, and we're going to have an 8 racks from Royal, but if you choose to do a very hyper aggressive thing like a Guardian Rush, that's all you need. That 3 minutes will be enough. So I think a strategy like that could be very strong for MisO. But first, he's got to live through a little bit of cheese coming in.
Little Ches. Okay, so quick racks over here. It's funny because I was really excited by what you were talking about, Arto. It's just like, oh, it's going to be so cool if we get into this late game and we're going to have this kind of new way to look at stuff because of this extra gas. But Royal's got different plans right now. He is going to go for that quick barracks here. We're going to see if the Zerg is going to set up into something that Royal can punish.
Yeah, as long as it's hatchery first, this is going to be a strong opener for him. It should be a gas as well here from Royal, so a very technical opening, which isn't surprising to see from him. He does love those technical openings. But here goes MisO with that hatchery first. So, yeah, this is going to be a pretty good catch here from Royal. And, yeah, there's going to be the gas. So anytime you see a forward 8 racks that far out, it's like you can't expand behind that. You have to go Vulture, or you'll just die to a counterattack. So this is what we're going to see. And the thing is, when you go for the gas variant, you can only make 2 to 3 Marines with it. So it's really a pressure play, right? And your opponent doesn't know that it's the gas one versus no gas, so they do have to commit to defending.
And you throw a factory down right away, right? Is that the idea? And then a Vulture and a Starport sometimes? Is that correct?
Yeah. Like, I mean, it doesn't necessarily... Oh, God, he went 3 hatch before pool. Okay,
no way.
This is going to be a fast one, Tastosis. But here's the thing. With this one, you generally don't go bunker because then you can't afford the factory.
That's true.
So this is kind of tricky because little does he know his build is perfect. Like, he could kill this hatchery maybe. But he's going to go for the factory. Like, you have to. I mean, if you decide to go gas, you can't bunker rush and go factory. Like, you don't have all the money in the world.
Yeah, it's funny because had he not done this we would have already been probably throwing a commercial here. This would have been already over, but he's going to throw that bunker down. Now, again, MisO knows he's super boned right now, but he's not going to show it, right? He's like, oh, Lings are coming. They're not.
Yeah.
But, I think he's played his hand, and this really is like a poker hand, this position he's in here. He's played it pretty well. Now, Royal's doing a great job of targeting these drones. He's still got 2 Marines left here. And, I mean, that's a lot of kills on that. The bunker's not done. As we see,
he's not even gonna. He's not gonna finish it. There's no reason. He doesn't have enough Marines. He goes up and checks and sees Lings are just being made now. So I think he's put it together. He's like, "Oh, you were trying to be super greedy."
Yeah.
But I mean, Royal caught him so hard here. He lost so many drones. This is like a nearly infinite advantage for Royal.
Oh yeah. I mean, Royal's in great shape. I thought Royal was going to be strong coming into this. Good read by him. To come in with this move. I imagine there's been some Zergs experimenting with hyper-tech builds here.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised about that. And he was trying to go the greed route, which actually I think plays with his style really well. Since he's such an aggressive player, I think it's less likely that you see the racks play because he might do something crazy like a pool first. But, Royal, I guess, called that bluff in a way, and now he's got this advantage that looks like it is insurmountable. I don't like a player of Royal's quality doing a build like this. MisO's doing.
Did you see that?
The best defense. Yeah.
Den.
That's actually like you kind of need to against this build, I think. Because
I'm sorry.
if a Wraith comes in, you didn't. You just die.
I so don't main these races. I'm like, wow, that's kind of crazy. It's like, Nick, he's going to get Wraiths in there in no time. Sorry. Anytime I see a Den without a layer in this matchup, I'm like, ooh, what's happening?
Yeah. Well, this is the one build where actually you will definitely see that pretty commonly, and if you don't, then you're in trouble. Because normally you do go Starport off of this as well, as you were mentioning before. But the command center going to come up. The Wraith going to go across the map. Ooh, he tried to hide this Overlord. It almost worked, but Royal finds it.
Yeah, he's going for that Overlord now. He's going to clean that up. He does see the CC coming down now. So when you're looking at this as Terran, I mean, obviously the Hydras and the Lings are kind of expected. How do you want to try to stay safe here? I mean, is it just get a bunker because Hydras and Lings are not going to be great against that?
Oh, yeah. One bunker will hold you, like, infinitely. He might just go mines. That's a possibility. I think it is a little bit stylistic. But as the Wraith comes down, he sees, like, 3 Hydras here. I would make a bunker, personally. It looks like he started one and he canceled, though. Mines are done, and he's just going to lay those in a line. And, like, honestly, if you see a lot of units hatching, you have plenty of time to build a bunker. Bunker build time is very fast.
So this Wraith is basically doing some scouting. The Vultures are going to comb the map and see if they can find any clues to what else Zerg might be doing, maybe clear out some Lings. He goes ahead and cancels the bunker after the scout, realizing that there really isn't much of a threat on the map, especially now that Spider Mines are down.
Yeah, and I think he's making a dropship right now as well. Those Vultures aren't that useful after laying their mines, honestly. Like, so unless you're going mech or something, then you'll get the speed upgrade, you'll start getting upgrades. But as is, it's a really good investment, I think, to just drop them off and see if you can trade them for 3-4 drones. Like, if he gets... Like, he's already so far ahead, right? But, oh, look at this move. He runs around with the Lings, and he'll reduce this Marine count, which is nice. But I don't think they'll get too much damage. But he shows the dropship, actually. Like, that Ling counter actually did a lot, to be honest. Like, it slowed the drop and showed the drop. So now suddenly, you know, MisO should be a little bit more prepared. All right, so we're going to have a drop coming in here to the main base. Tastosis, are you still with me? I guess not. That's all right. We'll get that fixed pretty quickly here. But in come the Vultures, and going after the drones now. He does have that sunken up, so it definitely did help that he had the vision of that dropship. But the Vultures trying to run around, getting what they can, even picking off the larva. I love little moves like that. And we'll see how many drones he can actually end up killing. My God, this is getting so bad for MisO right now. Oh, well, he will eventually clean this up, but you can see that Vulture speed just really, really paying off. And the amount of damage he's taking, like, he has nothing going on right now. Irradiate is on the way. We already have +1 coming along. That Academy being made. There's, like, not even a surprise move he can do, right? Like, he has the Spire, so, like, maybe he flies across the map with the mutas, but it's going to be, like, 6-7 mutas, and as long as you make a couple turrets, your Irradiate is going to be done very shortly here. And that is, like, MisO is just running out of anything that works, really. And those Hydras, what are they going to do? Like, turn into Lurkers later on? Well, does it really matter? Now, the mutas come back, and we'll end up picking off that Wraith. A couple more barracks going down. The Wraith, I like the sacrifice of the Wraith there, to be honest. Like, he slows the mutas from getting across. It gives him more time. And it looks like those mutas, by the way, did kill off that neutral photon cannon so that he could go ahead and expand to that back base. Now, don't forget there is that additional gas in the main as well. Ooh, okay, a decent pull. But I guess that's the one thing that MisO could try is some sort of, like, absurdly late gas-heavy all-in. There's the Queen's Nest. I wouldn't mind to see him try to go for something like that, but not even sure what it could be at this point. He might end up just GGing shortly. Everything being picked apart. Very, very tough game here for MisO, being caught trying to do that greedy opener. diving upon these SCVs. And, well, he'll fly out of there, but only 2 mutas remain. So his standing army at this point is 2 very hurt mutas, 6 Scourge, and 6 Hydralisks. And we are 9 minutes into the game, 70 supply for Royal against the 45. Does not seem likely that he's going to be able to hold on to anything. Like, even if he goes for, well, I'm not even sure what he can go for, to be honest. Like, he's going for the Hive. He obviously needs Defilers to try to hold on, because even a Siege Tank push here, you just aren't going to have enough. I guess we've got a lot of Scourge here to try to pick off the vessels, so maybe that's the play. Like, slow him down by picking off a couple vessels, less irradiates, build up that lurker count a little bit maybe, get into Defiler maybe. Honestly, with the amount of gas that he's going to have at his fingertips in a moment here, he could try to go towards Guardians once again. So some creep colonies going down. Now, this is a pretty common tactic where you spread your creep colonies to make Sunkens to slow down the tank push, make them siege and unsiege multiple times. You know, it takes a little bit to actually kill a Sunken colony. Obviously, with the amount of siege tanks, it's going to go pretty quickly. A lot of siege tank pushes in TVZ nowadays are just 2 tanks, but with 3, that's going to speed it up a lot. And, like, honestly, it's not like there's some magic thing you can do here as MisO. Eventually, the game becomes just math in a situation like this. Like, obviously, if it wasn't a strong Terran player controlling this, there would be, like, little tricks he could do, but nothing that we can really see here, right? Like, you can't trick him to go back to his base. There's no counterattack potential. The tech is not high enough. We have a lot of vessels here. Oh, Tastosis?
I think oh my God. All right, you can hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so that was like, my fighter plane was like crashing and things are on fire. I'm so sorry. Something crashed on my PC. I'm here. You can hear me now fine. We can resume this.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Apologies, everybody.
And you're recording and everything?
Everything's still recording. We're still here.
Great.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
All right.
No, that's all right. Actually, the quality of TVZ analysis went up dramatically.
I'm not here to ask any dumb questions. I'm like, so is there like reverb micro in this? What's going on? Yeah, it shouldn't be an issue now. I think I know what happened there. So anyways, I guess coming back into this game here. Wow, looks like it's actually getting pretty tense, man. Royal's kind of leaning up in here onto a pretty turtled up MisO.
Yeah, MisO doesn't have like a lot of options left. He's just taking so much damage. His supply is tiny. His army is tiny. I'm surprised that the tanks went over towards these temples. Like, he's denying this gas. I feel like he actually had a timing to kill him, but he's just denying gas for the time being.
Yeah, this is turning out to be a pretty tight game here so far. I mean, it's like not a lot of bases for the Zerg. It doesn't look like Zerg's going to be able to expand that easily anytime soon here. And a really powered up 2-base Terran.
Oh, he has so much going on. Look at these supplies, 52 to 128. Now a dropship coming in to seal the deal on this base. Obviously, you can't like reinforce down there very easily. It's basically an island base unless you kill the temples.
It's kind of crazy.
But he does get a Dark Storm down here, which is nice.
I didn't appreciate the tanks can actually hit that hatchery from that distance over that temple. That's pretty wild.
Yeah, no, I definitely was not aware of the distances here. Denying that gas worked out pretty well for him, I guess, overall. But the Dark Storms are coming down. MisO's trying to make something happen. There's just not a lot that can with this low supply. Oh, God, the Eraser to finish him off.
That's brutal. He's going to clean up all those drones pretty quickly here. That's going to be a GG. All right, well, there you got it, man. MisO is going to bite the dust, and we're going to have a rematch here of the 2 Terran Titans, Royal and Sharp.
Oh, thank God, another TVT. I was hoping. I was
Yes,
praying, Tastosis, that we would get a TVT at the end here. But yeah, MisO falls pretty quickly. It's too bad because he did something against his normal grain and being very, very, very greedy, and he instantly got almost game-endingly punished.
Oh, yeah.
Very strong plays there from Royal. He catches MisO off guard, and It felt like MisO did not have any chance just looking at him put down the third hatchery before the spawning pool. So an unfortunate exit for him, but we'll probably see him back next season. He makes it into most seasons of ASL.
For sure. Well, now it's just these two Terran players left, Royal and Sharp. Again, Sharp with a pretty big turnaround there in what was originally a Royal-dominated TVT. We're going to see what happens in the rematch as we go to the last game here. We'll be right back, guys. Stick around.
상큼함 맥스, 칼로리 X, 맛있는 탐스 제로. 요즘 제일 탐나는 제로, 탐스 제로. 같이 떠나볼래?
아침은 라떼, 홀리 점심은 라떼, 홀리 저녁은 라떼, 홀리 풍부하게 달콤하게 라떼 홀리. 달달한 충전이 필요할 땐 칸타타 라떼 홀리.
Welcome back, everybody. We're going to go now into the rematch of this TVT, and I'm curious to see if Royal can undo what happened earlier on, because Royal did look like he had, I guess, a better overall direction on the map Butter. He got himself into a good spot. We talked about that 3 o'clock position and whether or not Royal really, kind of overextended there trying to harass that third base, when maybe he should have just tried to cement that position and leave it. But we're not going on Butter for this next map. And again, Sharp, it's kind of crazy what he can do TVT. He's very good at playing from behind, like you said. So the early game is going to be interesting. But TVT being a long matchup, I want to see exactly where this ends up, after, 15 minutes or so, where maybe Royal gets his lead again, but ultimately, Sharp might just be too crafty in this late game.
Yeah. Now, the map we're going to go into actually is Sylphid. So, Sylphid is a 3-player map, which makes TVT a lot more interesting. It's almost impossible to split the map evenly. So you are almost never going to see like BC games or anything. The middle is very, very open. You have high ground. You have high walls around your main. So games are generally a bit faster TVT on this map. It should be a slugfest.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun to see these two duke it out on here. Sharp vs. Royal. And again, this map, not a ton of elevation in the middle either. I guess we're already starting this. Never mind what I'm saying. Guys, the final match of Group C starts now. Sharp vs. Royal. Who moves on and who's knocked out?
Right. In the bottom right, we have Sharp. And in that bottom left, we have Royal. Okay, so, yeah, I mean, like I was mentioning, TVT here definitely a bit different. Siege lines through the middle are very important. Getting a more forward position, of course, always important in Terran versus Terran, but incredibly hard to actually split the map. So you get a lot of pressure onto your opponent. And if you way out macro someone here, like you mentioned, Tastosis, there's not a lot of like variation in terrain level in the center. Like the only high grounds on this map are 3 bases. So that makes attacking a lot easier. Like trying to attack into high ground siege tanks is almost impossible, but on even ground it's a lot easier. So again, we should see quite a slugfest here.
Yeah, it's important to note for those that maybe watch more than play. There's sort of a deceptive terrain set up here at the third bases, where like you can't cross over directly on land to them. but you can see up them.
Yes, that's right. That's not a high ground location.
Yeah.
And that you can, like, for instance, siege the command center from outside of there. So it's not really that important, you know, that wall is there. I guess it, like, blocks vultures a bit better and everything.
Well,
Huge
I think it
audience, by
helps
the way.
in other matchups, right?
Yes, for sure. Like, you could never hold that TVP, for instance, without those walls. But, yeah, I mean, here it's... I think that we're going to see definitely some jockeying for that map control. At least one side should go vultures. And, yeah, we should see what type of positions that they can get. Because if you gain that map control and, like, get any sort of contain up, it's going to be so hard to break out.
So, in the last game, we had the amassing of vultures here. And that went on for a little while. I don't feel like this map would be any different for that, right? I mean, you're both on low ground. It seems like if you don't have any kind of high ground over your natural, you're sort of kind of forced into a lot of vulture powering, right?
Yeah, you know, like, again, Vulture, 3-Factory Vulture is the strongest build. It's what everything revolves around. But of course, because of that, builds have been made that counter it, right? Like, well, not counter it, but, like, do well against it. So, like, for instance, 3-Factory Vulture is really good, but you can do things like Goliath builds that open up and are completely fine, but the Vulture player will have map control. There are, like, you can go Tank Wraith. Absolutely, you can go Tank Wraith. Again, you're not going to necessarily have map control, but you do get other things with that, right? Like, you force them into Goliaths and things that they don't want to do, and you get a higher siege tank count. Yeah, and there's even really tricky builds where you go like 3-Factory Vulture, but you also get a starport. Because then if your opponent goes 4-Factory Vulture, you just win with the raids. It's really funny. So, yeah, we'll see how they actually want to open first. This is kind of the important thing, is to take a look and see, okay, are they both going Vulture or not?
So we've got the CC started on both sides here. It's a pretty modest fast expands on either side. As gases continue to accumulate over here. We've got one Vulture coming out now for Sharp, with a second starting just before our screen switched over there. And taking a look over here at Royal. I guess we're not going to do that just yet, but we'll see what's coming out soon. A Vulture for him as well.
Yeah, now this is a little bit of a tactic where you go around the barracks that you're attacking with your Marines to intercept incoming Vultures. So, yeah, see, and that allows him to continually put damage. So he's actually putting a lot more damage on the barracks. So as far as the early opener, I would say that Sharp has done a little bit better. Like, this is not the end of the world, but you don't want your barracks to actually catch fire this early on. Like, you want to keep it high enough health that you can continue to use it.
It can be easy to forget that, like, yeah, you know, when even though you're not making Marines this whole game, if you don't have a barracks, you can't make another factory. So, you know, the fact that this is going to be damaged, it's going to be in the red, which is where it starts to actually burn down. Like I said, it is going to be safe over there for a little bit. But yeah, kind of a bad position right now. A little bit of a nuisance here for Royal.
Now, Sharp is going 3-Fact, and so is Royal, but Sharp is doing it with an additional Vulture. So he went 4 before add-on. It doesn't matter very much because his opponent went 3. So, like, they're both going to kind of sit and mass for a little bit. The speed upgrade will be quicker for Royal. And, in fact, the completion of the 3 factories is going to be just about the same. So, Royal might gain map control first, but it's not like a huge deal here. They're going to have very similar amounts of Vultures.
Yeah, so that arms race is going to pick up here. Now you can see Sharp with the undamaged barracks is able to freely come in here and probe around and see what his opponent's doing. It looks like Royal is going to get a little peek here. He is going to actually get this away. I'm kind of impressed with how long he's kept this in good health here and still getting the peeks in.
Yeah, it's actually really important. You do need to do things like check the overall, like, the factory count. You want to check and see, like, oh, how much gas are they mining? If you can check the natural gas, that's always useful. I think this map, it's very difficult to do that with the barracks, but the barracks is like your overlord, I guess, in the matchup. Like, it gives you most of your scouting intel in the early game.
Yeah, there's something about the floating barracks that always makes me nostalgic about when I first played the game. Like when I realized, oh, once you're not using this to make Marines, you can then go spot with your tank with it. And I'm like, oh my God, this is my favorite game. This is the coolest game in the whole world. Like, just the way to make all these little things interact with each other and do stuff. It's so fun.
Now, a lot of vultures on both sides, but the first tank comes out for Sharp. So just important to note, right? Like, you can see his style poking through. He's decided to go vultures in both games, which is good to see, but the first one to switch out of it into another type of unit. So Sharp wants to gain a little bit more of a solid footing here. But that means that Royal actually has options here for map control, where he either runs around the siege tank. If there's any vulture versus vulture fight, Royal has more vultures. Like, you don't need to actually count. They're both on 3 factories. A siege tank has been made. So Royal has more vultures right now.
And not only that, I think Royal's got a very good angle here. He's going to plant some more mines here. And this is actually looking very similar to what we had in that first TVT with these two. Am I wrong about this? I feel like it almost looked exactly like this.
Yeah. I mean, this is, instead of the 2 Goliaths this game, Sharp has gotten a tank, but it's basically the same thing. They're both laying mines. Like, if neither of you miss depots, and these guys at this level, if you're a pro gamer, you're not going to miss the depots here. Well, I guess Sharp actually does. Yeah, he's at 92 and 92. But he didn't miss one early enough, right? So you can't attack your vultures into their vultures, because they'll have like their vultures sitting still will get the first volley. So, you just sit here and you're like, okay, we'll both lay a bunch of mines, and now it's time to go siege tank.
Yeah, and again, as the game pans out here, we really want to watch that other main at the top center, as well as its natural, because this is not a map that is symmetrical when you're in a one-on-one, or I guess ever for that matter. So, if you can really get into a position where you start to dominate the upper right third of the map, it's probably how you're going to take it. It's probably how the game's going to be closed out. Also, we should be watching Royal's main long-term here. It's very droppable, whereas Sharp's is not really. I mean, you always could, but if Royal were to drop Sharp's main, he'd have to go all the way around, or like fly over the third, and probably a lot of other stuff.
No, that's actually a very good point. You're completely right on that. That Sharp has way more potential for dropship damage than Royal does. Royal kind of has to put forward a bigger army overall, most likely. But Sharp is doing a really good job with his mines comparatively. Like, Royal is actually the one taking a bit more of a defensive stance. But here he goes. He has his scans. He's coming out. He's clearing the center. And this is a very important moment where they are jockeying for these positions. Royal, by the way, has been a little bit sneaky. He mined up that gas base at the bottom, and now he's mining up the mineral base a little bit as well. So that's like a really fantastic place for him to have a little bit extra.
So these 3 vultures are going to come in here, gun down these Marines, and I guess get whatever SCVs they can.
Yeah, and look at this. He's getting a full scout and denying a bunch of the buildings that are being made. This is actually very powerful, what Royal is doing here.
Yeah, it's
like, this is not something that will end a game, but it gives him huge information, allows him to use scans elsewhere, and gives him some confidence here as well.
Absolutely. We see the push coming through here now. I see just vultures for Sharp, whereas I see a much more robust vulture tank army here for Royal. Against, honestly, a third base, I don't feel like this third base is safe at all, Tastosis. I mean, we were talking about this like as the game started up, but you can see up on this high ground area. And so, I mean, you could actually shell this from the outside, essentially. And look at this. Royal is now going to chew up the vultures over here for Sharp. You could even try to run in here and maybe even plant some mines.
Dude, he just bashed Sharp in every way. He won the vulture fight, and he won the tank fight.
Yeah.
And he's sieging this base. This is absolutely terrible for Sharp. He has to hold on to this. Royal, in the meantime, took the mineral base, which is super easy to defend.
Right, it's
so
free.
He can just kind of field like a lot of vulture tank right now. Whereas Sharp, like, this base actually doesn't even last as long. It doesn't have as many resources, and it's under attack. Ugh.
All right, so, oh, good night. That last tank is shot down here, and there's going to be more to come. And honestly, if Sharp loses this, he's also going to lose control of access to the northeastern part of the map. And it looks like he's already given up trying to hold it for now. I thought this might be a little bit longer, but I see literally no sign of how Sharp can reverse this. Now, it is Sharp, and I know that, this is one of the things we talked about, and he did already do it once today, but I think this is positionally unimaginable. Am I wrong?
It's a terrible spot for Sharp, for sure. He's trying to move into the same kind of mirrored area here for Royal. I feel like if he's making dropships right now, which I think he is, that's going to be his best chance, is to kind of set up, don't act like you're going to drop, but then massively drop and ferry a ton of units in the main base of Royal. And maybe you can get a comeback from that. But yeah, it's a very bad spot. If you're going to take a base like that, you got to make sure that you have control of the area, and he simply did not.
Looks like Sharp's going to try to come in here towards the bottom. That base, by the way, with the gas, that's the only one place he could probably take. They're just going to give him any kind of a lifeline right now. Sharp is still... Oh, that's kind of a funny spot for the CC. He's still mining gas from there for now, but, I mean, Royal is now ripping through the northeast of the map and just taking everything as his. And, even though the supplies aren't massively different, I just don't see a lot of defense here for... I guess, in fact, he's not even going to end up taking... Oh, he is going to take that bottom left base. But maybe that's not even the most important thing here right now, as we're going to see Royal just tear through this area and probably do a full-on contain, which should basically entomb Sharp into his base and probably, honestly, just end the game.
Yeah. This was completely, incredibly one-sided. Sharp is trying to get some sort of counterplay with the drop. It's not going to work out. He's got basically nothing left. He's down by 30 supply this early into the game. And honestly, it's a bit surprising that it was this one-sided. Definitely Royal looked like he should have probably won that first game that they played. But here, the instantaneous punishes, the lack of different high ground areas for Sharp to kind of utilize, I think hurt him quite a bit. This map is much more about just macroing cleanly and moving through the map, and Royal showed us why.
Yeah, masterful performance here. I mean, he's basically won the game before we even got to the 10-minute marker, and you could see how good he is at leveraging this once he does get ahead. I mean, look at the top left of the map. He's got every spot, pretty much. Whereas right now, Sharp is literally mining minerals from only his main. He's getting some from corners of his natural and getting a few sparse little bit of resource nodes from the third, but I mean, this is domination, man.
It's really over. Sharp will be GGing any moment here.
I think just processing the loss here, just digesting it.
Yeah, it's a tough one. He went 1-1 against Royal, so
he had
probably feeling coming into this like he had a decent chance.
He had the best game of the group, to be honest, and then he got wrecked here, but, that's why it's important to win in that winner's match, man.
Yeah, tough thing to do against Queen. So, yeah, it looks like Royal will be advancing. Sharp remains in the game.
There it is.
Okay,
GG,
no longer.
okay. And no more.
Yeah. And there you go. Royal does make it out. And honestly, I think he deserved it. He definitely had big edges against Sharp in their first game and did throw. He really kind of threw the game trying to finish Sharp. Whereas it's better to just let a Terran run themselves out against you.
This is weird, man, having Sharp go out this early. I mean, this is a former top 4 player in ASL.
Yeah, it's very true. I mean, he is one of the best Terrans in the world, but some of the young guns, especially in TBT, I think, Tasteless, if you don't modernize a little bit, you see how he, goes Vulture for a little bit, and then he's much more Goliath tank-based, and you can see that the more map control-oriented style it gets edges against that type of play, and you really have to be flawless if you want to win.
ASL 24 C조 경기 모두 함께 하셨습니다. 오늘의 두 번째 16강 진출자 최종전을 통해 올라온 김지성 선수와 함께 하겠습니다. 축하드립니다.
감사합니다.
조기석 선수와의 두 번의 경기를 오늘 펼치셨습니다. 한 번은 굉장히 유리했던 경기를 역전으로 좀 패배를 당하면서 이 마지막 최종전은 조기석 선수에게 시간을 주면 안 되겠다라고 좀 마음을 먹으셨던 것 같아요.
네네, 첫 판을 해보고 나서 그때 제 속도에 제가 너무 심취해가지고 좀 유리한 걸 역전당했는데 그 똑같은 실수를 안 하면 이거 최종전에서 만나도 무조건 이길 수 있다고 생각을 해가지고 자신감 있게 했더니 좋은 플레이가 나온 것 같아요.
이번 시즌에도 역시 16강 행에 확정이 되셨는데 많은 분들이 더 높은 곳에 김지성 선수가 올라가야 된다, 그럴 실력이다라고들 말씀하시는데 이런 기대감에 대한 부담은 좀 없으신가요?
사실 지금 제가 온라인에서 보여주고 있는 성적 자체는 다들 기대할 만하다고 생각을 하기 때문에, 그리고 저도 우승을 꼭 하고 싶고 그래가지고 뭐 부담감보다는 오히려 보여드리고 싶다는 생각뿐이 없어요 지금.
보여줄 수 있는 기회가 이번 시즌에도 역시 김지성 선수에게 생겼습니다.
네네.
또 어떤 종족을 만나고 싶으신가요? 16강에서는.
제가 여태까지 좀 조지명식에서 좀 패기 있는 모습을 많이 보이다가
네.
미끄러지는 모습을 많이 보여드렸는데, 제가 해보니까 대회는 저그전이 편하더라고요. 토스전보다는. 저그전 아니면 뭐 테란전이 좋을 것 같아요.
아마 많은 시드 선수들 그리고 16강에 진출한 선수들이 김지성 선수와의 경기를 조금은 꺼리지 않을까 하는 생각도 드는데,
네네.
어떤 조에 배치될지도 굉장히 궁금하네요. 또 팬들에게도 한 말씀 전해주시죠.
제가 최근에 온라인 성적이 8월달 들어와서 좋아졌는데, 그게 이번에 철화대에서 혹서기 훈련을 한번 갔다 왔는데, 그때 이후로 이제 승률이 엄청 상승을 했거든요. 그 컨텐츠를 진행해주신 우리 철구 총장님께 일단 감사 인사드리고요. 그리고 저의 하나뿐인 제자 덕구가, 강덕구라는 친구가 있는데, 그 친구가 요새 저한테 꼭 우승하라고 맨날 응원을 많이 해주거든요.
네.
그것도 힘이 많이 됐던 것 같고, 그리고 저희가 이제 철화대가 뭐 대회가 있어요. 그래서 이번에 다들 다 같이 잘해가지고 좋은 성적 내봤으면 좋겠습니다.
김지성 선수 이번 시즌 왠지 굉장히 좀 활약해 줄 것으로 많은 분들이 기대하고 계시는데, 저도 역시 기대해 보도록 하겠습니다. 다시 한번 진출 축하드립니다.
감사합니다.
자, 이렇게 해서 오늘의 마지막 16강 진출자 김지성 선수와 함께했습니다.
And there you have it. Queen and Royal advance. I don't think it's too much of a surprise, although Sharp definitely a name that you would not be surprised to find in the round of 16. Royal, really one of these up-and-coming Terran players.
Yeah, it was a good group overall. By the way, sorry everybody watching and Artosis that my audio freaked out in the second last game, but I'm glad we got it fixed and we're back on it. I don't think it's going to happen again. But yeah, I mean, overall, the games were great today.
Yeah, I think it was a really solid, nice day. And you can see that, pretty even so far going forward. Look at this. And 3 of the 4 best Zergs already through. Very nice to see. Wow, 3 of the absolute best Protoss. And, 3 of the best
let's
Terran.
not forget.
I guess that's what you get in the round of 16, man.
Light Bisusoma action are waiting. They have been seeded in here. So as much as, we're following these players here now, don't forget, when we get to the round of 16, there's going to be some... at least for the season, some new faces that are going to be the real threats here, along with a few of these other guys moving forward.
Well, our next group's coming up, D, E, and F. This is going to be really fun. Jobnuda is our youngest player. He was the ACS champion and was able to qualify for ASL, so that's going to be fun to see how he can do in his first pro match.
I like that ID.
Yeah.
I wonder how long that's going to stay as the ID or not.
Oh, dude, I'm sure he's in for a long history of changing his ID.
Yeah, no doubt. We're going to be like a few seasons in there and be like, oh, that's Jobnuda? I didn't realize. Okay, sorry. Everybody's wearing masks right now.
Yeah.
So Group E is going to be a lot of fun as well here. Seeing Snow come back, as well as JD. And then, of course, Shine's always a lot of fun.
Yeah, and of course Group F I think is quietly very, very strong. Free is in great shape right now, so is Mong. And of course Rush is always top tier.
Right.
Orangi, I don't think this is going to be your group, buddy.
I don't think so, man. That's a tough group with those players in there. That should be a long one, too. Probably lots of TVPs in there.
Yeah, this is some great groups to finish it out. 6 more players will be joining. We'll see if we can keep that golden ratio going into the round of 16. I think it's reasonably realistic, honestly. Like, I think Free and Snow are both going to advance.
Yeah,
so
it's
because the Protoss line is kind of what we're worrying about, right? Like, are we going to get enough
right now?
in
Yeah,
that round of 16?
I think we're going to have a couple strong ones and probably be fine by the time we get to the round of 8. It's kind of crazy how often we do turn out to be fine. But yeah, I mean, great group. We're going to have Group D recorded for you guys right away. These should be coming out in pretty quick succession here now that we have access to all the VODs. So be ready for that one when it comes out.
Yeah, it's been a great day, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Do make sure you check out the Patreon, patreon.com/ASL English. We really appreciate you all for keeping the ASL alive. It is just the best tournament to cast, man. We love it.
We love you guys. Take care. Until Group D, be safe. We'll see you soon.